own podcast. Today I am Bro Gatron. Today I am joined by Sig9, Grave, and Yiggs.
Hi.
And we are going AFK. Jesus Christ.
I think this is actually the first time I've been here, like, when it actually started. I haven't, like, come in the middle where I'm like, are we on air? Yes, every time we're on air. So, we're gonna have... Oh, shut up, Grave. You can't talk. I'm talking. We were gonna have a special guest from Console Contenders, but, like, that... we tried to do that last week, and it didn't work out then, and it's not working out this week, too, because he had an emergency. So that's going to be next week.
Hopefully.
Oh, great.
So, knock on wood, we'll eventually get somebody here.
We'll get some guests going. Don't you worry.
Yeah, for right now, you have to put up with me. So.
What might be a good idea is maybe trying to get into contact with the CGL guys, so because their season's starting soon. They might.
Do we have CGL guys?
I can speak to someone for you. I can speak to someone for you who might be comfortable.
Okay. I didn't know we had CGL guys.
That'd be awesome.
Krusty has a new captain.
Hi! I am back into the heads. I'm back in the driver's seat for Krusty Crew.
Back in the driver's seat. I know how you were like, I won't be, and then you can't. Yeah, we'll see about that.
I didn't want to be because I wanted to focus more time on worrying about the stream and the podcast and being a board member and all of that, but it just kills me seeing Krusty in the way it is.
Yeah, no, we've had
it's getting a little bit crusty, you know.
We've had some issues with that this week. How many did we have? We had at least 2 forfeits.
We had 2.
Did we have 3? Just 2. Okay.
But hopefully things will be
that.
turning around a little bit now that I'm captain of Krusty again. So
if it helps, those were the same people that like forfeit last week. So it's not. At least we're working on it. I'm working with Millennium. I've like been in contact with everyone. There's some kind of issue with the captain. So I've gotten in contact with the rest of the team. So hopefully that won't be too much of an issue going forward.
That's good.
Something about I think they were either ill or like not. There was just a miscommunication error. So hopefully that should be solved.
Hopefully.
Going forward.
It does suck, especially when you really want to play and then you turn up and it's just like we're not even doing it.
Yeah, no one's there. And I'd rather like and for both these teams we tried to extend it, tried to offer subs, and it just wasn't working out with that. Like we try to be really lenient, but sometimes you just get those periods where it's just not working.
Yeah.
Because we'd much rather, if possible, play, at all, and then rather than forfeits. We don't really like forfeits here if we can help it.
It's always fun to watch yourself on stream. Like get the game played. It's so much fun.
Speaking of that, if anybody would also like to apply for streaming and casting, we need more people to do that. We have people to host, but there's several of us who can host but have like potato tier internet like me who can't stream. And so we would love for more people to come in and stream if you want your games to be streamed.
Yeah, plus
that's
more
the way to do it, be proactive and help us out
plus
with
more
that.
faces on the casting is always fun. Having like amazing casters and meeting new personalities and how they bring sort of like their aspects into casting.
And if you're afraid to cast, like, don't worry, you probably won't be doing it by yourself. There's usually people around to cast with you. It's just specifically the issue of streaming.
Listen, if you're casting, I'm probably around, so you won't be alone.
Yeah,
I'm usually around somewhere, or you can pull me in. We've got other people that are just around, but we just don't have the actual camera work. That's the tough part, is finding people whose internet isn't horrid.
My internet isn't hard.
Mine is like the way my house works. Like I cannot hardwire it, and it's on Wi-Fi. So technically, I can stream it. What is the word I'm looking for? Like the quality is so bad, and it like lags the hosting lobby because I'm doing both. So I can do it, but you have to like sacrifice for that.
Yeah,
I'm on Wi-Fi, but mine's fine. Usually.
Like I'm on Wi-Fi, but I have my own Wi-Fi network, so it's a 5 gig, so it works really, really well.
Your internet's like a tank.
Oh, but yesterday though, me and Sig saw a great game against Neptune and Voltage. Ooh! I was hoping so hard. I was just had so much hope for Neptune in that last map, especially.
It was a 4-0, wasn't it?
It was a 4-0, but
they did put up a good fight though. Fair play to Neptune.
Oh yeah.
They never gave up once. They still kept fighting on, and they really showed that they're not that, you know, even though they did lose, they didn't just get completely rolled. You know what I mean? They still stood really good ground against them.
Yeah, like, you know, better than last time. That's what you always want to see. Where was I? Was I asleep? What was I doing during this?
You were trying to figure out the stuff with Seattle v Millennium, because that was supposed to be
that's what I was. You're right. That's what that was. Okay, because I was like, I know this. Yes, I was trying to do that. And I was trying to be like, oh, I'm on Seattle, so I feel like weird about hosting it, but I think people know that I'm not gonna like. I don't know how I would cheat. Like, I'm not even creative enough to come up with.
How many times did I host the Krusty games last season?
Just boosts HP up to 500%.
I don't even know what I would do. Like, I'm not really sure. Not exactly the most helpful person.
Goes into workshop, brings back old Roadhog hook.
Oh no, 1.0. I mean, like, I barely can keep the Discord running. I'm constantly breaking the permissions. Like, I don't think I could be very good at cheating. I don't think it would work very well. I just like, the technical know-how is not there.
How to Overwatch Workshop for Dummies book right next to you.
Well, I'm like constantly breaking the permissions, and I have Chaotic like coming behind me who is like, "Who broke these?" And like I just never answer because they know it's me, but I don't want to know.
Who broke these?
Who did they?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was
Server ghost.
Oh no. But something I do want to talk about. So, that developer update that came out a few days ago. And the one big point, that hero pool thing.
Yeah.
And they're like probably all wrong, so I'm gonna let you guys like go first.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Okay. So wait, alright, so like show of hands here. Who is excited about this idea? Great! Okay, I was like, maybe we could do like a head-to-head here about like one person like likes it and another person doesn't. We could do like a little like.
Do you want to know why I'm not too happy about it?
Let's talk about why we hate it. That's why we love Overwatch. We love to hate it.
Let's all go through our points.
Okay, why do we hate this?
Looking forward to seeing it, but it just seems so weird and forced.
The problem is that you can't take explain this to me, right? You can't do all these big changes and then do more changes. Like, they're going to make more, they're going to make faster updates, right? Which is amazing. That means meta shifts, yeah? But then you've also got meta shifting them by these hero pools, which it doesn't make any sense. Like, surely you would just try faster patching, and if that doesn't work, then you'll bring in the map pools.
Yeah,
also, what if, right? I don't know, maybe like Doomfist becomes hell, like, you know, not goats, but Dive becomes hell because, well, they banned McCree, they banned Brigitte. There's nothing to counter Dive, so Dive just becomes an absolute hell.
The counterplays and shit. I had something witty to say and I just lost it.
Good job, yeah, do that.
I was gonna say, okay, like we're playing a game where like by far probably the thing that's most complained about it is that it's unbalanced. So we're going to try to do new balances every single week. I'm gonna say that seems a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical about this, and this is from this is the hot take from the Diamond perspective here. So, you know, I've really, you know, I'm really, you know, talking about this from the high-level gameplay.
Definitely.
Hear the sarcasm in my voice. I'm interested in this. I've never been a fan of hero bans. Like, I have had this brought up to me so many times when we were like reforming the league. People are like, well, "What about hero bans?" Well, let's do that. Like, and I'm like, "No, let's not." I'm not. I think this is going to be interesting. I think you bring up a good point with like play counterplay. I was not even thinking about it from that. I was coming into this thinking from a league perspective, like, you know, just it's going to have to be at least done like, you know, per week, and we're gonna have to do it like to where you're stuck on that. I don't know how are we gonna do it? Like, so you're stuck on that hero pool, and if you have to forfeit or like postpone the game, you're still stuck on that. I don't want to get into these weird situations where because I mean, let's be honest, as an admin, everybody knows there will be like one team who tries to like, oh, I hate this guy, like we're facing Rav on Tracer or something, we don't want that, so let's try and postpone that game so we don't have to deal with that. Like, you all know
yeah.
I'm not pointing fingers at anybody here, but every single league has that team.
Unless you just don't institute hero pools and you just leave that in the competitive scene, but that also makes different issues.
I don't know what we're gonna do there.
The biggest issue when it comes to like league play, right? And this is like, in my mind, the reason why it won't work is because you will either have. So if you ban off what they're doing, right? What if now, right? I am a team. We specialize in Rhine compositions on Rhine's bands. Like, what do we do? Do we just lose? Because we can't play these other
Rhine's band, you know, you're at a disadvantage there. What if you're playing against another team whose thing is
we don't know how to play Winston. Like what? How the fuck do you play Winston? Like,
I guess okay. I'm gonna maybe try and answer. I'm gonna try like maybe devil's advocate here. It's one thing I'm good at. That's what I do. I would have to say the answer to that would probably be get good, I guess. I don't think that's really fair from a like.
No,
I mean,
yeah, but listen to how fair this is. Listen to how fair this is, right? It's what if, right? Some of the teams got easier. So like, I'm not dissing anyone here, but like, what if now, the Horseman versus, like, 'cause I'm on the Horseman now, we versed a really easy team when it was on a week that we didn't want, and then the next week,
theoretic easy team, TM,
but then we've got like a really bad composition, so we don't care. But then that tough team is just versus another tough team with a composition they can't play, which then doesn't equal fair team play. You get what I mean?
I do. I think the only way that this. I'm not sure how they would make that fair, or how we're going to make that fair in these competitions where it's either going to be like, well, that's just a source of randomness that's thrown in, sort of like, you know, D&D, math is your random friend, that just happens. But I don't feel like in league play you try to make it as fair as possible. The only thing I can think about from that is that, you know, everybody, like, somehow it switches around, so like people do different team competitions. Like, I'm not. You're right. I'm not really sure. I know, like, we kind of skipped. Going back to what I sort of was talking about, like the kind of quote-unquote get good, I know a lot of people were complaining about this from one-trick perspectives. And, like, I know this sort of, like, everybody was like, well, shut up, you know, this game isn't made for one-tricks. Okay, fair. But this is the kind of the same issue extrapolated to a whole team. The one-trick issue of team comps. What, do you just get good? What is the solution to that? Is there one? I am a diamond-level player. I don't know. I'm not good enough to, you know, is skill level gonna factor in here? I don't know.
You see,
it's gonna be hard. Like, it's the pure reason of it's just random. I apparently, from what I've seen, and this is like apparently what the leaks are, is it's gonna be 4 hero bands, one tank, 2 DPS, 1 support.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
So okay.
So essentially.
Well, at least we're not getting something like 4 supports. Or
But at the end of the day, it means that team comps can't be broken down. But the only issue I have there, right, is then if you remove Reinhardt, right, you ban Reinhardt for that week, then Zarya becomes pointless because who the hell are you gonna use Zarya with, right?
Yeah.
Same thing if you were to ban Winston, like who the hell's Bull gonna go with? And this is like the biggest issue that I feel. It's not enough diversity within the game. Because of how unique every single character is, if you remove one character, that uniqueness, you've just lost that uniqueness, and then it kind of just messes up the whole balance scale of everything.
Well, I wonder if maybe that's kind of the point. I know that, well, I don't know this for sure, but it seemed to me like some of the devs, they're not happy with the sort of meta thing settled. They're always trying to, like, fix that and and get rid of it. Is that maybe kind of the point here, that they're going to force people to be like, well, too bad, you don't have Ryan, what you gonna do? Like,
You sure that's what
I'm
they're
not sure
doing
that that's
now?
the way of doing that, but is that
no, but like,
kind of the
what they're
goal
doing
here?
is instead is all you have to do, right? In our aspect, right, we have to play every week, but like.
Right.
All we have to do is, all we have to do is look, my Mercy's banned for this week, I'm not going to play Overwatch this week. So that means they lose out on players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, see, because that was what I was talking about. When I was talking to some friends about, we were talking about the one-trick issue. And, like, well, people are like, well, just, learn other things. But I'm not sure, okay, I am not entirely sure who this is for. Is this for the competitive players? Is this for the casual players? Like, casual players I know come in, and if they want a one-trick, that's fine, whatever.
It is for the casual players. It's trying to make sure that games don't get dominated.
But why is this? Because if I'm a casual player and I just want to play Mercy and be casual and she's not there, do I just leave that week?
But then we got to remember is if someone hasn't played all week here, they come in and they verse a team who's running this meta that's just absolutely just slammed you. That's very deterring to most people because they don't want to hop on and get slammed by a team who's running the absolute best heroes because they want to play exactly what you said.
But again, I feel like that's less casual there. You're talking about more competitive play. That's what I'm trying to say is who is this balance for? Who is this patch for? And,
I don't think Blizzard know.
Well, the hero pool thing is only coming out
at
in.
The wall and sees what sticks. In the words of Cave Johnson. I did have a question because I either just didn't know this or wasn't clear on this because I personally did not watch the dev update as all independent people do. I had other people watch it for me and tell me about it. Oh
no, a sinner.
Is 222 still in effect with us?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
It is.
All right,
So the hero pool
about.
thing is kind of like map pools, where it's only applicable to competitive play.
That's what I thought. I wanted.
So in quick play, everything's still going to be the same. You can pick any character you want within the role that you choose. There's going to be no bans. But the main issue I have with the hero pool idea is, like Yiggs was saying, I'm not a fan of hero bans just because if they were to institute a way where you can ban a hero from being played in the match you were, which I heard some people on YouTube talking about it, which is what really made me not like it, because it put into my mind, well, you don't like playing against a Mei. So I'm just going to constantly put in that I don't want to play against Mei. Well, then you're never prepared to play against a Mei.
That's fair. I don't think it's going to be that case where we have
no. So I do
we're
think
always going to Mei and Reaper are always going to be.
Yeah, I do think the hero pool thing is a better way of doing it, but I'm still not a big fan because you've built this game with so many characters, so many different play styles. It appeals to people that play differently than what you would see in COD or Halo or any other first-person shooter. You put in so many characters, and by putting in hero pools, you kind of say, no, if you play like this, then you're not going to do good in competitive this week. You're basically saying, don't play comp because it's not fitting your play style. I play Zenyatta, I play more passively. Now if they take out Zenyatta and I wanted to play Zen, I'm
I guess counterpoint, when these characters weren't meta, did you get to play them at all? I mean, you could, but it was kind of a throw comp. I know that, or so it's called. I know that one thing that the Overwatch team has always been about, they've, for better or worse, depending on whether you agree with this, they've always been about kind of softening this blow that if you are not playing the way that the community kind of agrees that you should play, they want to soften that blow. For example, probably the best example of this would be private profiles. People were complaining and saying, well, I am a Mercy main. I want to play other things like get in comp and I'm bullied because they see that I'm a Mercy. So private profiles, that's one of the examples of that. But we see kind of a lot of that where the team comes in and is like, well, we don't, you want to play this way, the community doesn't like it.
I think YouTube doesn't help.
That kind of, yeah.
It's because YouTubers, this is the problem, right? And I always show people in competitive games whenever you aren't playing the meta. You sit there, and I'm sorry, but most people, they'll look at a YouTuber, and then they'll go, excuse me, this one YouTuber told me that isn't meta, can you please switch off?
In my opinion,
that's ridiculous.
They've been the devs have been against that idea where they don't like that. They want they want every single hero to be viable, but unfortunately, with the nature of the game, that's not something that's going to happen. There's always going to be a dominant meta. And then you get this weird spot where, like, you know, for at least for console, it's like Diamond, where you can play, like, you can play meta and win, but you can also see some like weirder comps. And then once you start getting up into Masters, it's like meta or throw. And so again, it's sort of like, well, who are we? I think that this is one of the things that Blizzard has always had trouble with. Who are we balancing this game for? Are we balancing this for high-level competitive play? Because one of the things, like, I always have to remember is that I think of, you know, in my group here, again, I am Diamond, low Masters. I sit right around 3,200 to, like, 3,500 and, like, live in that little area. And to me, who is fucking eating something? Who is that? What is this mic? Turn that shit off.
Who's having a munch?
Who is that? Somebody's just like eating into their mic. Stop that. Mute yourself. Anyway, we don't allow eating on this podcast. It's not allowed.
Please, you're starving. You're
I'll put my chips away.
I don't care. I'm sorry, I've lost my pace because of that. This is the munching day. I've forgotten what I was saying. Oh, okay. We've always had kind of an issue with, like, what are we balancing this game for? Like, me being in Diamond, I'm always thinking I am middle of the road. Because everybody I know is, like, Diamond. You know, most of the people I play with are, like, you know, around Masters. A couple are, like, GM or higher. A few people are, like, in Plat Diamond. But remember, according to the community, we are, like, in the top 10% of players. Is it the majority, like, in Gold? So,
hi, again, I'm the resident gold plat player.
And like, so again, it's hard to balance or like try to figure out what are you doing, because the playing between like the needs of GMs, Masters, and OLOC, Overwatch League versus we're just not. I want to put us in there. But we're
free plug.
Plug on our own channel.
These more casual players that actually make up the major basis of the game. I kind of forget that. So again, who are we balancing for?
Yeah, it's weird. Like,
I feel like Blizzard has never really answered that question super well.
I'm not a big fan of it coming out, but I am going to give it a shot in Season 21 and see if they implement it right. Like, if the implementation works really well, then I would be fine.
I'm like snarky. Like, what's wrong versus what's right?
They wanted to do it every single game. That a new hero pool be banned every single game.
That is an idea.
Yeah, but imagine that, right? Like, if you're a Lucio player and you load it and Lucio is gone.
It puts every single game puts way too much randomness into it that you can go into it and like you have no idea what you're gonna be able to place. So
no one would play.
Nobody would play.
I know there's a reason that this game isn't all mystery heroes all the time. But like, I know that like for even an OLOC, and we are not like, you know, CGL like the most competitive of the competitive. We, you know, other leagues are more competitive or less. We have players that specialize in certain things. We've got, like, you know, on our team, we've got this person is our, like, main healer, or this person plays, like, Baptiste, Mercy, Moira. This person plays Lucio, you know, Zen, Baptiste, or whatever, and you switch that around. If we're having these random fights, you're going to render somebody kind of redundant there. Well, you know, what happens when you've got, like, most people, I think, try to have at least probably about 3 heroes, at least. Probably about 5, but like 3 they're really good at.
I got 4.
Yeah,
my biggest issue is
above and beyond.
My biggest issue is that like the reason so Jeff came out on the forums was like, hey, we're not adding hero bans because we don't like the fact that players can limit other players playing certain roles. But now the devs have just gone, we're going to limit what you play.
Yeah.
So
it kind of defeats the purpose of what they wanted to go for. I feel
like they were actually going to release hero bans, and then they realized that everyone was hating it on it, so they were like, oh shit, pull it back.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That is actually something that I don't think that is too inconsistent with the devs saying, like, now we're going to dictate what you play. That has actually been the name of the game since Overwatch came out. At first, it was, you could be 6 Winstons or 6 Symmetras, if anybody remembered that hell. And it was,
God,
you know,
Jesus Christ.
It's constantly been balance adjustments where we're actually adding new heroes, but like the name of the game has been actually limiting what comps and what things we can play. You know, the biggest one was 2-2-2. And so what did you guys? I would like to just go ahead here. What did you guys feel about 2-2-2 when you first heard
about it?
Okay, you hated it. And when you first heard about it versus now, okay, like just
okay.
I want to compare that to like this, this kind of new thing coming out.
It's a good point because when 222 first came out, I was a flex. I consider myself a flex player. I still do, because I loved playing all 3 roles. So when 222 came out, I was like, well, that's going to destroy flex play, because my specialty when it came to competitive was I would fill in what role needed to be filled. But now I was like, I'm forced to like say I want to play support, or I want to play DPS, and suddenly I'm not performing on that role, and I have no way of changing it. It's still an issue that I have with it, but I feel like role lock isn't as bad as I was thinking it was going to be, because I'm actually having more fun, because I get to designate what role I want to play on, and I'm not just forced onto support every single time, or tank every single time.
I mean, I hate it because
let's go to. Oh, you hate it. Oh no. Okay.
I hate it when it was first released, and I did love goats. Okay, so maybe I'm a little bit biased here.
Fair enough.
But what you've got to remember, right? And at the end of the day, any rank you played at, and I don't care what anyone says, right? Goats wasn't always played. It was played quite a lot, yes, but it wasn't always played. It's the same thing with Double Shield. It's not always played. If you really think about it, it's not always played.
No,
it's not. But it ends up being kind of like. Sometimes, okay, I don't mean to cut you off, but like
no, it's all good. Like what they've done now is that most people already did 2-2-2 in games. So what you've done now is exactly what Farrell's on about.
I'm going to disagree with that.
Now you've just completely blocked anyone who wants to play other roles.
So I'm actually going to disagree with you with that, because I know you and I like end up. I love this because we're always like diametrically opposed. Like your opinion on Star Wars was like completely different. Mine, you were like, you're wrong. I'm like,
both of our opinions on Star Wars opposed you.
It's fun to have somebody who's like that. I did completely different, because that's how you make like and then these other people that are sitting in the middle, like like watching us like a tennis ball going like, let's move on. That poor Grave here just has to put up with us. I personally loved 222. I when it came out, I said, thank God. Here's why.
I could say every game we went at the top, it was like 4 DPS beyond take.
So here's the issue. I know that you guys were kind of like, okay, most people played it. I felt that, at least where I was, like, again, this Diamond Masters, it was... So, okay, a couple of things. It depended on, were you a random with, like, 1 or 2 people, or were you with a team, like a stack? If you were with randoms, and the other team happened to have more people, and they ran goats, you got crushed. Like, every time, it was incredibly rare to have a balanced team. If you are, a bunch of random people, they either were a 6-stack or they just happened to run goats and your team did not. On that Diamond Masters line, you got crushed. A lot of times, like I will say as a support player, Grave and I used to duo a lot, and we would come in and be the only support tank combo. I would be on support, he would be on tank. We would get 4 DPS,
it's just so bad.
And we would be running into goats or other things, and we would get crushed, and it was not fun. It was to the point where we stopped playing comp unless we were in a 5-stacks, a 4-stack or above, so we could at least control the flow of gameplay and have like more tanks, because so many of those games with those meta turned out so one-sided that it was incredibly discouraging. That I did not have fun. In fact, I stopped playing for a while. For me, 222 was what made me come back to the game. The only reason I ever, after, when we started getting to those points with that, GOATS meta and all that for so long, before 222, now GOATS was fun, it was, but it was so dominant that technically, you could run other things. Were you going to get crushed and lose SR for it, or get yelled at for throwing?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But let's be real,
Absolutely. And it was not fun.
But they gave us a worse meta.
Okay, well,
Double shield.
The thing is that's your opinion. Double shield is okay, but I'm going to put this as the final test. I mean, it's not great, it's boring. But I did not stop playing. I stopped playing at the end of GOATS because I would get... with my duo partner, I started playing league only games. because I was so desperate for a team that could work together to like gain SR or just play together, because it was so fucking impossible not to. I have had less of a hard time running non-meta with 222 than I have ever had running, like, say, GOATs versus non-meta and other things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have said Double Shield has, at least in my SR, it has not been so incredibly dominant that you could not run other things and got stomped. I felt like there was counterplay here. Was it, you know, absolutely the best? No, but if you had a good team like running Dive, we could do that. It worked, at least in Diamond. Now, I know up towards Masters, like, perhaps it got more into that dominant side, but with GOATs, it was, if you didn't run GOATs, you were fucked. And that was in my, okay, that's N equals 1, my experience, so. And also, as a support.
What if, right now, I am a tank player, right, who wants to play DPS? And I've been playing tank now for the last 4 seasons, and now I'm playing DPS. I can't play that character.
Well, go play DPS.
I can't play
you can
DPS.
Learn. I mean, that's not, you have to wait in queue longer, but that's fine. I don't know what the difference is between, like, now and, like, without 222.
No, but, like, basically at the start, and even if anyone who's coming back to the game, now all their stats are messed up, because now, if you are a Masters, if you're a Masters tank, you're more likely to end up in, like, Diamond. You're going to be in a Diamond DPS. So now I got players in my game who used to be DPS players and played tank for, like, a whole season, came back this season to DPS, and are now cannot even play DPS.
Well, okay, so counterpoint to that, so you're talking about the 3 SR split, where it's like DPS, Masters, and support. Yeah. I don't think that's that bad. Again, I'm just going to be opposite of you, and I think I like that division. Here is why. I'm going to go back, and this may harken back to a more casual mode of play, but we had, back before we had the 222, you had people that would absolutely get, like, you played support, whatever, you Masters level support, or whatever, you wanted to try other things. You either were, okay, without private profile, people would yell at you for doing it, but you would end up with a Masters SR in support and be playing on a Masters game, decide to play DPS, and if you're playing at a lower level, you've cucked your team. You have absolutely, unless you just happen to be one of those players that is absolutely consistent, that your SR is the same across all of those. That was who that benefited. For these others, I like this because I can play my Masters, upper Diamond, lower Master support, and then if I want to go play tank, I can go play in my Platinum Diamond tank. And I am not, my team is not suffering because I'm running on Masters or Diamond support SR playing like a Platinum tank. That's what I did like about 222. Okay, because I'm going to say the majority of people were not as, like, at least in it, like, and I know this now, like, looking out over people's SR, they're not super consistent where every single role is at 3,400. This way, they could grow on different learns, on different roles, without but then, having other people pay for it. That's what I like about it.
What if I'm a tank DPS player, and I come into the game as a DPS player, and I'm just doing terrible on DPS? I have no option to switch to tank my stronger role. I can't ask my tank, yo, dude, do you mind swapping off the DPS so I can go tank?
Fair, but you also don't have supports, like, locking that role, and then you can't play it. Like, or you run, 3 tanks. You are stuck on it for that role, but, like, honestly, if it's your DPS is that bad during that one game and you don't switch, I feel like that's your fault. If you're doing bad on it, maybe play a different role. But, like, you're not getting to this point where, like, I feel like the throw picks aren't as bad, and you're not getting into these games where you have either 4 Mercy 1 tricks. Because we would have that happen. You'd come in here, and we were like, oh, there's 4 supports in here. This is going to go badly, because none of us know how to play DPS. We have, like, a bronze tier Hanzo that hit 1, like, headshot the entire game, and that was me. Like, this, at least, we have people that are saying and declaring from the beginning, hello, I'm support, so that you know, okay, at least this is going to be, we're going to try to balance this. I know since 222 has come out, I have had less stomps. We're one team, unless there's a Smurf involved, which I don't think that matters, because, like, if you had a Smurf involved with the other one too, you were still screwed. I've had more balanced games and more close games with 222. I've had less, like, one-sided stomps. They do still exist.
I would agree with that.
Less of those. And which is what I want. I want closer games.
What if, right, back when goats existed, why don't you have just got good at every single role?
Well, okay, I can tell you about that. Because,
there's no issue.
So here's my thing. I play, and we're going to go into the, like, supports can't aim. I play this game. This is going back to what we talked about, Overwatch being a different type of FPS. An FPS game. Because there are certain roles that you can play if you're not good at a traditional FPS. I will tell you that I started this game in Silver. When I first got this game, I had never played traditional FPSs. I was one of the girls and I can even, like, it's kind of an interesting subject on, okay, why are girls attracted to Mercy and healer roles, as well as why are girls, in general, not known to be as good as FPSs. Like, I'm going to go into a quick version of that because it's relatable to the story.
They can't be bothered.
Because it's marketed towards the men!
It's not that. It is not that, exactly. When I grew up, games were not marketed towards me, and I'm 30, so this is back when, like, you know, your parents, like, there was less, they had to buy them for you, you know, we were really kind of, I don't want to say like the frontiers of the video game, but the games were not marketed towards girls. When your parents went out and bought you games, the boys got Halo and they got other things. It doesn't mean you can't be good at it, but the boys got Halo and the girls got, well, we got some shitty girl games, but we got
fucking like, Cooking Mama, Just Dance, all the...
Okay, you know, I grew up with JRPGs. That's what I got. And what would happen is, by the time that I was, like, with friends wanting to play FPSs, the guys that have been playing with them since they had a PS2 or PS1 were so much better than me that I got stomped and it wasn't that fun. I'd have to sit down and really practice. And not only was I so far behind at that point, but, and I know this, you know, no one wants to hear about this, but back then, the hostility toward girls in gaming was so much worse than it was today. I mean, I don't want to, like, say, you know, but it was really bad. You were discouraged from playing in competitive games where you tried to learn because you were already far behind, and so everyone would shit on you. And if you just didn't happen to have nerves of steel, and, you know, you're growing up, you're a 12-year-old. You're fragile, you're learning who you are, and you don't like to be shit on. It's not fun. So not only are you trying to learn, you have all of these dudes who are already better than you shitting on you for trying to learn. It takes a lot to persevere through that and still have fun. I personally, you know, in my group, we tried, but it wasn't our thing. We'd go on to other things. When I came into starting to play Overwatch, you guys are going to laugh at me, but I was in Silver. I could not walk, move the camera around, and aim at the same time. That was not something I knew how to do. I just never grew up with games like that. I started playing Lucio, and I made my way from Silver all the way up to eventually Masters, playing different things. I learned to aim, but I learned by playing, and I got to play heroes where that gap wasn't so bad, like Mercy, like Lucio, healers, tanks, where maybe my aiming wasn't as like front and center. My gameplay, the way I played the game, was a little bit different while I learned to aim. Another thing, I am disabled. My hands shake. I play games. I have a rare kidney disease, loin pain hematuria syndrome. That's why I'm out a lot of times, like I'll just be gone. It's because I'm ill or in the hospital. I use games for pain control. A lot of times I cannot do the precise movements needed to aim well. My hands shake too much. So playing on roles like support, playing on things like that allows me to play this game at a level with other people that I might not otherwise get to play on other FPSs. CSGO, there's not a role for me for that. You know, like Halo, things like that, I've got to learn to get good. But with Overwatch, I can learn at my own pace and I can contribute to these team play where I'm still good, but it's playing to my strengths and weaknesses. So I know that's like a really convoluted answer, but one of the reasons that some of us can't all just get good is that, first of all, especially for adults who, like, I've got plenty of time because I'm disabled. You know, this is what I do for fun, for pain control. But a lot of other adults coming in, they're tired from work. They only have 30 minutes to play. You know, you have to get home, you put the kids to bed, right before, you know, you're ready, you put everything to work, you've got 30 minutes before you have to go to bed. You've cooked, you've done all that. You don't have time to learn to get good at all these roles. You just want to come in and play a balanced game and leave and have fun with that. And again, that is more, all of this, I know some of you are going to be like, oh, you know, like, that is geared more toward the casual, and that's fine.
Why,
but that is,
why play Overwatch then? Just play
because I like the game. So, you know, if I just don't have fun, like, the thing
why
is like,
do anything?
Why do anything? Like, you guys, like, other people do not get to, other people do not get to dictate what I think is fun or don't fun because or is not fun because you pick an arbitrary level at how good you want to be. This game is made for people of all types. Otherwise, why have a bronze category?
Yeah.
Why not only let people that are the equivalency of 3,700 or above play? No one else can play because that's boring. Nobody wants to see that kind of gameplay.
Because that's basically discrimination against people.
Right.
But
so you can't dictate whether I'm having fun or not. My SR system does that, but you try to balance it in different ways.
But like you said, you came up, then play Skyrim. Well, I don't want to play Skyrim. I want to play Overwatch.
Listen,
right.
I think right, women play Mercy for that reason you stated, but they also like to nurture people. I don't know why. It's in their blood to nurture.
Okay. I don't like the stigma. Okay, hold on. I don't like the stigma about girls being Mercy mains. I came into this game as a fucking Mercy main.
So let me explain a little bit about that stigma that you brought up there. It's not because girls necessarily want to play Mercy. I want to ask you guys, how many times, especially prior to 222, when more people were in chat, how many times have you gone into a game and a girl said hi, and you heard a dude or two say, "Oh, a girl, better play Mercy," or a diva main? You cannot lie to me that you have not heard that multiple fucking times. Women are oftentimes women are oftentimes, it's this self-enforcing stereotype. Yeah, some of us do like to be nurturing. I like playing healing roles. I think it's fun. I like playing tank roles. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that I can't play others, and I don't want to be pigeonholed into that.
I'm pretty sure.
The problem is that people will pigeonhole you into that, because I want to tell you about, I am strong enough, I am 30 years old and I do not give a shit about what guys think online, and I absolutely will turn around and bust their balls over what they have to say to me. But when I am a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old girl, and I am really stretching my wings, trying to sort of learn my identity in the world, trying to kind of come out here, and I'm learning about who I am. I'm trying to build up a personality myself, and not just girls, but younger boys too, playing this game. And I come in here, and I'm already, I'm, like I said, I'm not that great in an FPS, right? I'm coming in here, I don't have the background that guys come from. We've established this for a lot. I come in here, and I try to play Hanzo or something. Let's say come in, I play DPS. How many times have you heard of a girl coming in here and playing DPS, and all of them say, you'll hear guys and they're switched to Mercy. "Oh, you're so bad. Oh, you better go get on Diva, get on Mercy. You better play a healer." How many times have you heard that? No, you've all fucking heard it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to learn, you know what you hear if you're a guy and you're bad on DPS? You don't hear shit related to your gender, and you're not told to get on healer. You're told you're bad.
You're told you're a bad switch.
You are absolutely not pigeonholed into being the nurturer and being this societal expectation that if you don't play the healer, if you don't play the nurturer, you are bad. You are bringing your team down. Because how many times have you heard from guys online, just in a game, that you guys lost because the girl was on DPS? I have heard that so many times, and I will stand up for that. I will stand up and say, that's not why we lost. We did that from team play. You shut the fuck up about her. Because how many, I want you guys to be fucking honest with me, how many times have you heard that to a girl and she goes under peer pressure and switches? And how many times have y'all stood up for her? Have you guys, or not just that, but also she's come in, she's enjoying herself on DPS, you guys lost the game because some shithead told her to get on heals, she's no longer having fun, your synergy is dead, because I've seen that very often. So I don't like to hear about this pigeonholed nurturing thing. I get why that there are some girls that like to do that, but it's not just there's a whole dichotomy here.
That's the problem though. I don't exactly say this without being offensive. I'm gonna just say it, but I don't the reason why the whole stigma is generated is because women don't really help themselves, because a lot of women do play all the female characters, so it's just expected for the other females to play said
but
character.
Should it be?
Well, it shouldn't be. No, that's how people look at it.
So we're getting into a weird situation where. So I think what happened in the early days of Overwatch is that stigma evolved because I mean, let's look at just what would get people into the game. Overwatch is marketed towards everybody, and the cover art, the poster character of the game, is Tracer. Mm-hmm. So now you're marketing it not just to the men, but also the women, because you've got a female character that is very powerful in the game. So you've got girls starting to come in, and they're going, like, I believe there's actually been studies.
Overwatch is so economically successful because they marketed to the female gamer. And that is actually one of the big reasons. Yeah, like you said, we have studies on that aggressive, not aggressive marketing, but like towards the inclusive element, that brought in money.
Yeah, but like, I believe the stigma comes from because they started marketing it to a broader audience and they have so many female characters in this game, the girls that came in, they sort of just gravitated towards playing the female character because they could relate to it more. And it made
also,
so I feel like that's where the stigma kind of came from. I mean, it's definitely evolved from there, and now it's not like a good stigma to think about. But
correlation does not equal causation. How many girls played this game because they did see the marketing like that, and they gravitated toward the easier characters that you didn't have to aim on? And how many of those are female? I know that it's kind of interesting because, like, again, by the way, like, I'm not offended by any of this. I love art, like, talking about this kind of stuff. I think it's fascinating. Like, I love seeing different people's views and, like, debating over this kind of stuff because I think that's interesting. Like, you really can't piss me off with this kind of thing. I love conversations like that. So I just wanted to preface this. Like, I'm not mad or anything. I just want y'all to know. Like, people, like, I can get passionate and people are, like, worried that, like, oh no, is she gonna hate me for this? Like, no.
Well, a lot of girls are very offended when you talk about
that. When you bring up that kind
of... You cannot do that to me. I am, okay, I'm very left-wing. I talk to right-wing people about politics and shitpost about it all day, and I don't get mad. So, like, I am the veteran of the U.S. political Twitter wars, so no worries. But, like, a lot of, and I've, and they gravitate toward these easier characters. That gets into some sociology that probably somebody smarter than me could come into. Like, why are the healing characters some of the quote-unquote easier characters? And they are.
No aiming.
What I mean by is okay, so we have to first, the baseline here is FPS, right? This is an FPS game. It is a team play game, but it's still very much kill count, things like that. You still hear about things like Overwatch, what they've tried to do is bring in a lot of this team play aspect. So maybe that doesn't matter as much, but you're still going to hear how many times did you die? How many people did you kill? How many times have you all heard, well, I have gold limbs. You know what I mean? Like, it's still an FPS. Yeah. It is still marketed towards that. And a lot of the characters that, we talk about, I'm sure you hear things like this. No aim, no brain, Winston main, Moira main, Morrison main, whatever.
Junkrat main.
Junkrat main.
No one ever says anything that...
Just
nobody else says that for Reinhardt.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, why didn't anyone say that about fucking Rhine?
Maybe it's Fire Strike. Technically,
you didn't have to aim with Fire Strike, you just throw that thing into a group!
Listen, I'm a Rhine main. It actually requires so much brain to actually play Rhine.
It requires brain, yes, but it does not require aim.
But that's not the point.
So it ends up into this kind of like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg situation. We have a lot of female healer characters. Are women attracted to those characters because they are female? Are they attracted to those characters because some of them are easier to pick up? Mercy is designed. Remember, like, the little star system where it was like 1 star is easy, like 3 stars are hard?
Yeah, Mercy was designed to be that starting support.
And so for girls that do not have a basis in FPS, like maybe they grew up playing JRPGs, maybe whatever, maybe this is their first FPS, and it is for a lot of girls. I've met so many that this is their first game. They got into it because, like, oh, my boyfriend was playing it, and then I saw I could do this, and, like, I wasn't bad. I had fun playing it with other people. It's a team game, so it's not just me by myself fucking dying, or a whole bunch or whatever. You're playing it, and you pick up these easier characters, which are oftentimes your healing and support because you're not expected to kill. You do have game sense, and it's like low skill floor, high skill ceiling, like easy to start, like like at the
low
end,
skill
like,
floor, high skill ceiling.
Right, and so you get into this interesting dichotomy. Are girls more playing those healer characters like that because it's like that? Because I said because it's like that, like that's not an argument. Because because this is their first time doing an FPS. Is it because they are kind of pigeonholed into that role. They play with their boyfriends, or they play with men who say, you know, we're losing because you're on Hanzo, get on Mercy, you're the girl. Or, you know, oh, another girl, bet you get a diva or a Mercy main. I mean, I remember so many times when I first started this game when I came in and I'd say, no, I'm a Lucio main, where I would get like, kind of like sarcastic tears. Wow, a girl that's not a Mercy main. I'm like, oh wow, so fucking original, you know? I mean, really, like any of the, like, I'm all for like trash talking and shit talking, but like, come on, be original. The gender jokes for women, like, oh, get on Mercy, God, you're so fucking, like, you're a master of humor. You know, like, there's like a whole thing, like, you know, correlation, it does not equal causation, chicken or the egg. How do we, you know, with all these characters, you know, I think it's a combination of things. Mm-hmm. There are certainly lots of girls that we are put in the nurturing role. It is a role in which society designs for us, you know, as we're growing up. Like, if you think about, just kind of a stupid thing, think about the difference between, like, girl shows and guy shows, right? So if you're watching, like, Cartoon Network and you watch, like, a show, like, marketed more towards dudes, you guys are, like, space pirates, like,
heavy
going off
action,
an adventure, like,
yeah,
you're, like,
we're, like,
doing,
blowing
like,
up
bullshit,
people.
like, you're blowing up shit, you're, like, running around, like, with lightsabers and shit. And then if you look at a girl's show, we may be ponies or unicorns or in a fantastical setting, but it's still very much like little Theresa May learns to share her cookies with the other spider women or whatever. Like, it's still, there's very much like these
excuse me,
places
I
where
grew
you're,
up
like,
with
set up to it, you know?
I grew up with a female Power Ranger. I know
There
women
you go.
Listen, Powerpuff Girls was the best show.
Powerpuff Girls is really cool, but that's actually why it was so popular. It was a show marketed toward women and girls.
Okay.
That showed them it's not even just like, it's not just typical girly shit, but showed them, and this is like a big part of it, show them as being people, not girls, not women, and they showed them as being, they got to be what the guys got to be, a human being doing cool shit. They weren't stuck in this role of, like, you have to be nice as a girl. You could kick ass as a girl. You could do that. You could watch you know, like, I watched a lot of the guys shows growing up, and when, you know, especially back in the 90s, in the ancient 90s when I was growing up, there was a lot of pointlessly gendered shit. Like, it was just pointless. Like, yeah, no, you absolutely kind of were groomed for these roles. And, like, that's why, you know, when people talk about with gaming, like, if you hear from, like, the shitty incel group, you know, or whatever, they're like, oh, too much diversity in gaming. There are girls and black people in my games. Oh, God. The culture is being erased because I don't have the whitest male buns in the world, you know, like,
I'm disappointed because there are people like that. And I hate it.
I have heard this about Overwatch, like, when Soldier was oh God,
was revealed to be gay.
That was an attack on the masculinity of the
No!
Like, okay. I just thought, like,
why do you think the fucking thing Hanzo exists?
I know, like, McConzo, it's right there. Come on, like, just like Mercy and Genji, what the fuck?
I think Baptiste is gay as well.
Is he?
Or he's in between, because he's got like earring and everything.
So let's be honest.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you're gay.
If you're a fan of Overwatch and you participate in the fandom community in any sort of way, everyone is gay. No one in this game is straight. That's what it is.
Ryan, Anna. That's the only exception. Ryan, Anna.
Anna and Ryan are like the only two that are allowed to be straight because they're old people and old people can't fuck.
It just makes sense.
We can't have that.
We know that. Okay, no. The characters that we know are straight. Definitively. There's no argument. Reinhardt, Anna, Torbjorn. Anna and Torbjorn we know because they have fucking kids!
Chill, dude, Jesus
Christ. Technically, couldn't Torb be bi and then he just decided to marry her?
Torb is a wild sex god. Where do you think all that height went? Why do you think he's so short? It went somewhere.
It's him and Reinhardt. Reinhardt and Torbjorn had a kid, and that's Brigitte, confirmed.
Yes, exactly. I mean, isn't it like 2052? Haven't we gotten, like, isn't Aren't we scientifically advanced enough? I mean, we have
flying
monkey.
cars.
Surely...
That means that people can have gay sex and have babies.
It's like, you know, getting into like where I was going with that, with the sort of like, pardon me for being your resident like social justice warrior, I guess. Like, I'll be the representation of the Tumblr side of things. I fucking hate Tumblr. I hate them. Anyway, they're good for like fan art and like porn, and then they got rid of the porn.
That was just a fan.
Okay, we know what
Yiggs does in her off time.
Well, how do you think I know about McConzo? Come on, have you ever seen this? Like, okay, never mind. I'm not gonna go there. There's this weird fucking fan art where they make like a McCree like really fat, and like I discovered this one day, and it was like this horrible rabbit hole, and I was like,
oh,
what
you poor soul.
What?
It is so weird. Like, actually take my word for it. It's horrible. Don't go. On DeviantArt, there's like, no, don't. It's awful.
I'm looking this up.
The whole thing is about like Hanzo like feeding McCree until he's like massively fat. It's like a whole fucking.
That's a huge thing to do with Overwatch.
Yes,
like, there's like the other characters like eating each other.
Oh God! Like I am an
it's
artist.
like the characters eating each other. Like it's weird. I'm like, what the fuck?
Okay, no, it's not even that. That's like a different thing. I've heard of that because I've made fun of it.
What the fuck?
So now you
like,
know.
there's like
I just looked it up.
It's like it's some furry shit. I don't get into that. I don't know. But I mean, hey, I'm not here to king shame. If that's your thing, I don't want to know about it. But more power to you.
I just found a picture. It's a fat ass McCree that's like pinning Hanzo against the wall. Like, no.
That's probably it.
I'm sorry. I am an artist. I frequently have to go online and I look up like reference photos and stuff. You run across the weirdest things looking for that. You're like, no, I don't know.
What are you referencing?
It's like normal stuff, and then you come across this and you're like, oh God. Why? Like, it's just, I don't know. If somebody has this fetish, could you explain it to me? Like, just DM.
Please.
I don't know names.
Just explain this. Like, why?
How did you get this fetish? I don't know. I can understand the normal ones, but like, not that one. Okay, anyway. What I was going to say about like this representation is really important for this kind of stuff. For girls growing up and seeing other girls in games, especially in various forms, especially like to me, I'm older. Anna was really cool being like, oh, look, it's a like 60-year-old woman like being a badass and doing shit. You don't really
It's an Egyptian woman, run.
She's Egyptian.
You know, so she's brown too. It's so cool. Like, you don't see this. Think about like all of the depictions of old women you see. You get like
Betty White.
You get witches. And like
Betty White. Listen.
You get Betty White, she's a goddess. And you get, like,
Betty White is a goddess, and I'm pretty sure Death is terrified of her.
I'm pretty sure she is Death. Like, that's...
she is Death.
Like, that's the form. You know? Well, I mean, like, imagine you die and you're greeted by Betty White. Like, that's not scary. Like,
that's probably why she isn't Death.
I would like, graciously go to her.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, no, this is not so bad. But, like, representation for women in gaming matters. Like, when you were talking about, like, you know, do female gamers play women, like, they see the girls and they're like, wow, that's cute. Like, I know for a fact a lot of girls, like, do that with D.Va. They're like, she's so cute. That's why I got into this. And they end up being, like, assets to the team and things like that. But they got into this game because they saw characters like that. And they were like, that's cool. D.Va's incredibly popular. She's a young, like, mech pilot. She pilots a 400-pound death machine.
And she's a gamer. She's a fucking gamer in StarCraft.
Yeah, she plays StarCraft. She's like a Dorito grubby, and like, you know, she gets to be
Gremlin
Diva. But like, I'm gonna be honest. How many depictions of girls like being gross, being like comfy and cozy and snacking on the Doritos and Mountain Dew, because we all do this. Like, I mean, you guys do it. I do it too. Sometimes
I did yesterday.
She's comfortable.
Okay, like
I don't
you
think
sit here in
Diva's
your fat
comfortable.
pants
She's made
and you
to
eat
fight
like.
for war.
Well, right, but like, how many representations of girls do you see that just chilling out, being themselves, being kind of gross, and it's still lauded, like it's cute. People are like, wow,
currently,
Diva. You know, like she's adorable, and like that's a positive representation of a thing that a lot of girls just don't see that in media. We see somebody who is beautiful diva who is a role model, a star. People look up to her. Like girls want to be her and date her. Guys want to be her and date her. Yeah, everybody wants to be her and date her. And like she's just living her life here, like doing her own thing, like eating her Doritos and stuff. Like that's not a representation you see a lot in media. Women and girls, especially from a young age, we're growing up and we're told that in order to exist in this world and to be somebody of note, we have to be beautiful. Our sexuality, our beauty, our thinness, the way that we present to men, that is our ticket. That's the payment we have to pay to exist in this world in a way in such that we get paid attention to. We get promotions. We get things like that. Like you are seen if you are a beautiful woman, if you have an hourglass figure, if you have larger boobs, if you're sexually attractive. That woman is seen and is going to be given more attention as well as more perks, including better pay, than another woman who may be similarly talented, but is not as pretty, not as, like, women, we are told that we have to be beautiful and perfect. We have to be attractive as our ticket to exist in this world. We're kind of taught that from a young age. We don't grow up being told we can be Gremlin Diva. But seeing things like that, and seeing that, this strong role model in a way, we see somebody like us, and we're like, wow, you know what, that's cool. This is a person that we can relate to. That's us. Like, growing up, I am not tall. I'm 5'4". I am not beautiful. I am not, and the farther you are from the traditional view of beauty, if you are brown, if you are black, if you are tall, if you're more manly looking, if you're overweight, if you're, all of these things that deviate from the cultural norm of American beauty, you see less and less of yourself. It is really important for us to see these different representations. Older women that are still doing cool things, as well as, the kind of classical form of beauty, like Mercy, blonde, hourglass figure, very pretty. And then we also have people like me.
She's a fat.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's actually not.
She's a
look at her ass.
Body
you could
type.
land
Yeah,
a plane on her.
Okay.
We see all these different representations. Seeing ourselves in games is really important. Like, I always want to say to those guys that are like, there are black people invading our games and women. I want to be like, what? So you understand what it's like, right? If you're admitting that you don't like all these other options, you are understanding what it's like to have people like you not be in games, to not be able to see yourself in the media that you play. You can't relate to these other characters. You can't relate to this guy. You're saying, oh wow, oh no, it's a female character instead of the male one that we're used to, or whatever. Then, even if you don't want to admit it, you know what it's like to see somebody like you be taken away and you can't relate to this other person and you're mad about it. You're mad because this is this is a woman that we're playing here, and you wanted to be a man like you. You now understand what it's like to never have representation. You understand what it is like now to see a game where you never get to see yourself. You don't get to see a woman. You don't get to see a black person or a brown person or a gay person. A lot of people are like, well, why can't they just let them be straight? Like, it doesn't add anything to the game. Like, that's one of the things I heard a lot about when they said, well, Tracer is gay. When Soldier is gay, it may not matter to you. And the reason it doesn't matter to you is because you are so used to being the default. You are so used to being the one that's constantly seen, that the moment that the spotlight is off of you, you can't stand it. That is how used you are. You are so used to being the one in charge, the one that everyone sees, that you cannot stand it for a moment when somebody else has a spotlight. Now you know what it's like for the rest of us who have never had that spotlight, and it means the world to us to have a gay character we can look up to have a lesbian, when people are still getting kicked out of their houses for daring to love someone of the same sex. I live in the South. I live deep in the Bible Belt. I
feel so bad for you
for that because I had an image of my friend and I holding hands on Facebook, and we did that thing because all 14-year-old dumb kids say I'm married to my best friend. My mother got called into the office at my school, and we had to be interviewed, and she had to prove, and I had to prove that was a joke. And one of my friends was kicked out of school.
That's no.
Now, the thing is that,
terrible.
so all these people that are like, well, it doesn't matter, you know, why do you have to even talk about his sexuality? Like, you're forcing it in our faces. Well, if it doesn't matter so much, then just pretend he's straight. But to those of us who are not the default, to those of us who have never seen somebody like Soldier, who is the standard, you know, like white bread, kind of masculine, like epitome of masculinity, be able to exist in that space where he is still the epitome of masculinity, but also be a gay man. That's not something you see a lot. That is something that maybe to you as a straight person or a straight male, or like the people that are upset about that, you see thousands of those representations. You are the default. You see all of this everywhere. But to those of us who are not that, God, it makes our little gay hearts just cry for happiness when we see a character that is like us. When we see somebody that exists within this cast of characters, within all of these other people that are powerful, that they are strong, that we look up to, and we can point out and say, look, hey, that's somebody like me. That person is like me, and they're accepted, and they're powerful. And that means that I can be like that. When I'm watching my friends have to lie, you know, about having to have beards, having to lie to their parents because they'll get kicked out, because they'll have their medical care taken away. You know, if you are lucky enough to never have to think about those things, so that the worst thing in your life is that you are upset that there are visual representations of LGBT or women or other things like that in your game, God, you are lucky, and I pray that you never have anything else hurt you, because you lived a charmed life, and I really hope it stays that way. Because for a lot of us, those things mean hope. Seeing somebody like that can mean the difference to a kid that is lost, that is lonely, that has been bullied for their sexual orientation, that has no friends. And I see a lot of those kids online in places like OLOC that come here because it is their place to be safe, to be accepted. And they're able to see people like them. And I've seen them be so, like, happy. And it's okay, you know, like...
welcome back to episode 1, the deep one.
I don't know where this came from, but now you know. This is what happens when I'm, like, kind of drunk.
Oh, man. Why does this podcast... I feel like this podcast is becoming that it either ends up becoming about Star Wars, or ends up becoming very deep.
I mean, you got sociology with Yiggs, TM. I'm sorry, but I will, like, literally just talk about
stay away from the deep stuff for now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll get off of that.
Can we go to our top 5 heroes?
Let's go to a live thought. So, alright, let me explain this. So, earlier in the week, I was prepping for the show, and I thought, you know, what would be a fun thing if each of us prepared a little list of our top 5 least favorite characters in Overwatch. Well, this is like whether they're out of the meta, like they're so far away that they're basically bad in the game now, or you have personal vendettas against them, which is like my number one pick. But so it's like, for whatever reason, you just do not like the character, whether you don't like the design, you don't like them in the meta, you don't like their personality in the lore, or you just don't like the character, period.
Wow. Alright.
Alright, are we gonna do that then?
Yeah, let's get into that. And I do want to say I want to go last, because like I said, my number one pick, I have a personal vendetta against. That if you know me personally, you know who it is, and you know I'm about to go on a 15-minute long rant about this fucking character.
For your rant. I love that.
I'll go first if you want.
Yeah, so please save me for last.
Okay. So my number 1, actually, I'll go 5 then up. I will leave 1 to last.
That's good. I like that. The countdown.
Okay.
That's the last.
So
I like that.
number 5, so that's my like the least on the most hated characters, right, is Baptiste, right? And that's for the pure reason of I hate the fact how he can make anyone immortal. So you have to be careful when you pop ults, because it's always that constant worry of, it's exactly going back to the whole Mercy thing where it was like, where's Mercy? Where's Mercy?
Yeah, I remember that.
We can't ult until we find and kill Mercy. It's the same thing. We cannot go until Baptiste uses him or he's dead. So that's one issue. And then when you're in the middle of a team fight, that takes all your attention away, because you have to now focus at this beam, this beacon that has to go before you do anything to anyone. So it's just so annoying. It's not like broken or anything like that, but it's just annoying to deal with. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, I put this for meta's sake, which was Soldier. He's just so trash. He does nothing. I mean, Baptiste does more damage does the exact same damage as him. That's ridiculous.
Soldier.
Poor lad. But he's become like, he's like,
it's double
like
barrier.
I said, like the white bread of he's the white bread of the game. People play him, but nobody wants a piece of white bread.
Nobody. I hardly see soldiers anymore.
Yeah, like, same. I can always tell when somebody's taken a hiatus from the game and they come back because they're on soldier. It's always that person.
Yeah.
I haven't played in 4 years. Oh, well, I can tell.
Yeah, it's just because of double barrier. It's just put soldier, just yuck. His ult is trash as well. I would say it's one of the worst ults in the game. It's so bad.
How it is now, yeah, definitely.
Like, there's so much like a block it. For instance, Baptiste, he destroys soldier's ult. Okay. That's pretty much it. And then going up to my third one, because of meta once again, that's Genji. He's complete trash. He does nothing unless you're running him for like Nanoblade. That's the only time he actually does something. So, to me, he's just a complete waste asset, in my opinion, unless you're going for Nanoblade, which most of the time, if they got a good team, they'll know how to counter a Nanoblade, such as like a Hog ult or something like that. So you just wasted like half your time trying to push that objective for a Nanoblade that's just being countered. What a waste of time. You know what I mean?
That is true, because especially because it's like the Nanoblade that took so much coordination. You had your Genji ult, you had your Ana sitting there and getting mad because your Genji bladed when she was like 5 to ult, and then you have to wait, and then like it's this whole thing, and then it gets negated, and you just get bad because it took so much teamwork to get there in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Right, my number 2, and I feel like I'm gonna get a little hate for this, but is Sombra.
You get hate. You get hate from me now.
Oh no!
What do you mean?
Have we found the one thing we agree
I
on?
love Sombra.
Do you want me to tell you why I hate Sombra?
You're the
It's
problem,
not because I'm
Beryl.
hurt or anything like that. But here's the thing, right? Sombra, right? She comes into your backline, she tickles you, you turn around, you get her low, and she's out. Next fight, she comes in, she tickles you, you're about to kill her, she teleports out, and then guess what happens next fight? You see that translocator. Yeah, you see that translocator, and you instantly goes through your mind as, we are fucked. And there is nothing you can do to prevent it, because she literally counters everything in the game with one button.
That is really true.
Fuck Sombra, you cannot kill her, she's invincible. Fuck her.
Oh man. And who's your number 1?
Okay, my number 1, I feel like I'm gonna get a little bit more hate, but like I feel like a lot of people will agree with me on this one, and that is Bastion.
I feel you. I feel you.
Bastion. And it's not for the reasons why you think you're gonna sit there and go, it is the most cancerous things fighting a Bastion, but I don't think of it for that reason. Now, what you remember about Bastion is that he only has one comp that really works on him, that's bunker comp, right?
Yeah.
Now, the biggest issue with that comp is it's like what we call a glass cannon comp, where essentially, as soon as it loses, it's completely dead. It's done. So that's the problem. You invest so much into this comp, and then it does nothing. All you have to do is build up your ults, which is also another reason. It's not fun to play against because of the fact that you've got to kill a Bastion behind double shields. Not only that, you have to invest every single bit of ult charge into him. You have to see what all 6 ults, and then just ult him, kill that man now. And it's that constant. He's dead. Oh no, Mercy's gonna res him. Hurry up, kill Mercy. Kill Mercy. And that's the reason why Bastion is a piece of shit.
Oh man.
We love that. I love the passion, the hate. Let it flow through.
I feel you. All right. Anyone want to go next?
What is it, kids? Do you want to go next, or do you want me to?
Why don't you go next? I've talked enough. I've got a list, but I feel like no one's gonna make my points. So go ahead, because they're all weird.
Let's see.
I don't like
That's what
Mercy
I'm known
because
for.
it's about women.
It's least favorite.
I don't like Widow because she's blue, and like that's not a realistic interpretation. I feel like that's unrealistic beauty standards.
I like Widow because big ass.
Yes. Do you remember when she's pop it all and her ass would just extend?
Alright, who wants to go next?
So dummy thick, it's giving me away.
Alright, who wants to go next for their least favorites?
Yeah, I can go next.
Woggy, let's go.
Ravens.
Okay, number 5, Hammond, because every fucking time, second point, King of the Hill, whatever the fuck, he's just spinning around.
Fuck! Oh, Hammond doing Hammond things!
My friend, have you ever heard of something called a sombra?
I cannot tell you how many times I solo Reaper old Hammonds doing that shit. It is annoying.
You do, yes.
Oh man.
Okay, number 4, what would number 4 be?
I don't know, you tell us.
Probably. It's probably a strange pick. Probably Torb. Like, I love Torb's character, but he's just not good now. He's basically obsolete now.
No, he's good in double shotgun meta. Him and Reaper
Yeah.
just destroy.
Oh, yeah. Torbjorn
It's a
is
double shotgun meta thing.
No one ever runs that.
Torbjorn's rising up, I
Nobody
think, a
ever
little
likes
bit.
it when I pick Torb.
Nobody
I
runs it
double
because
shotgun.
nobody has understood it. But trust me, if you're a Roadhog, if you have a Torbjorn or a Reaper on you, good luck surviving, I'll tell you
Yeah!
that.
Yeah!
Well, I was gonna say no one likes it because I'm actually a wood tier DPS, but I'm sure that's not the
I
reason.
don't think I've ever seen a Reaper and Torb play together before.
I wanna
Really?
try it now? Like,
don't think
that's,
so.
We're gonna have to do this
so
now.
broken.
Yeah.
It's so broken.
Because I've gone
trust me.
against it, and I absolutely hate going against it.
Because what you also remember as well when it comes against Torbjorn is, against a Reaper I mean, is most people go, oh, Farah, it's fine. And then guess what? Torb's character goes, I don't know. And then you've also got Molten Core, and that destroys
Molten
every
Nut.
single person that's
Yeah.
on the point. Especially if you've got an Orisa playing with you as well, that pole, and then just... Ah!
Yeah,
It's disgusting.
Okay.
Grave number 3.
Number 3. What was gonna be my number 3?
I don't know. You tell us.
No, you tell us.
See, this is why I have this written down.
I don't
Yeah, I
think
ripped
so.
mine down too.
I definitely didn't think of this like 30 minutes before the podcast.
Man reminds us all week, decides to do it last minute.
Yes, my number 3 would be have to be Sarma because of that fucking hack and that EMP.
Yes,
It's like
my
also
boy.
when she hacks the health pack, when you're like 2 health, you're trying to run away from like a Winston or something, trying to get that health pack when it's hacked.
Alright,
Do you remember when like she used to gain ult charge from it and the whole entire team would just take damage and just dive
Oh, I
onto it
forgot.
so that she could just get an EMP and see this EMP? Oh my god.
Alright, so now Sig and Grave are both dead to me. Got it.
You're dead to me,
No.
motherfucker. Okay, number 2. Number 2 for me would be Brig. Just I cannot
an interesting
fathom
choice.
how many times I had an ult
I like
with
a Brig
Reaper
with
or
me, but I hate
McCree
a
or
Brig
whatever,
against me.
and she had that
Yeah.
That's
shield
how I
bash
feel.
ready, and she
Yo, just
either had
flash
that whip
forehead
ready-
if you're playing McCree.
Fuck you. Flash can cast the shield, yeah.
That's too much counterplay.
That's too much counterplay.
That's too much
Yeah,
big
that
brain.
shield
I
bash.
don't play
that
McCree to
whip.
think, I'm playing McCree to Flash fan.
I don't flash man. I don't do that. But yeah, the fucking shield bash, the whip, her ult is so annoying to go against. I hate it.
And number 1?
Okay, number 1, May. Just the process of her slowly freezing you down, looking you in the fucking face with that sadistic
cruel.
smile,
Smile.
pushing
She
an
is
icicle
Satan.
through your fucking skull. I just want to bash May's skull against the pavement. I hate her so much.
You know the worst thing is when she just goes, ni hao, dead.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Meow.
I
Sorry.
know,
Sorry.
you see that and you're like, who hurt you? What did someone do to you?
Amazing!
She is the snow devil, though, let's be real.
And I hate it.
Sure,
I used to know a May one trick. I hate it.
She is the representative of the Chinese Communist Party, so... I mean, what else did we expect?
And also, when
Oh
you're
my
just
God.
about to kill her, she goes in that fucking ice block and regens all her health.
Oh, and then she walls you off every time you try to
Yes.
push.
And then her team comes back, heals her,
You
fucks
just
you
feel
all up.
sad.
Yes, that's because you couldn't kill a fucking Mei.
Because you have to sit there. She goes in her ice block, and you have to like sit there and think about your life choices that have led you to this place.
So I just think how many different ways
seconds.
I can demolish this Mei. That's what I'm thinking.
And I hate how long she can contest stuff like control maps. I think she breaks control because she like cocoons, walls, freezes, ults, and then you just can't even cut the point. You're just like, please, just get off.
Kill the fucking Mei!
You're like, I'm just going to walk off the other way and like call it to C9 because I'm done with this.
Oh. Yeah.
Yigs or Phil,
No, let Yigs go, because I warned you, I'm going to go on a 15-minute rant.
Okay, I'm here for that. Alright, I'm gonna do mine. They're all kind of weird. Like, I don't know, they're super weird. I tried to pick things like...
Sigma's in it, and I'll hate you.
Sigma's not in it. I like Sigma.
Ah, good.
Okay.
I like Sig.
So, I have 5 of these. I think 2 of them, you can guess, 2 of them are gonna be weird, and like one of them you're gonna be like, okay, like I see that. Alright. I don't think these are in any particular order. I didn't really like order them. Alright, I'm gonna go with these are in no particular order. There's just, I hate all of them equally. My hatred is I'm equal opportunity
Understandable.
hater. So, my first one I'm gonna say is Bastion, one we've mentioned. Here's why I hate Bastion. For the reasons that you've mentioned. He just sits there, and is annoying. But here's why. Okay, so we know all that. We all know that, that's a shitty, like, glass cannon comp. But here is why we hate Bastion. It's not necessarily because of the character. I think the character is adorable. Ganymede I would die for. We hate Bastion because of that singular sort of person, the Bastion main. So in our journeys of Overwatch,
I'm friends with one.
every single one of us has come across this kid. He is either 10 years old and thinks robots are just the shit, or he's a 30-year-old, like, a loser that lives in his mom's basement and, like, is not there for economic reasons. He did not boomerang back home, he just never left. And he just, again, he thinks robots are the shit, and, like, there's been no...
But robots are the shit.
They are, but there's been, like, no growth in between these two periods. And this kid is one of 2 ways. So as you started this game, you ran into this guy playing Bastion, that's all he was going to play. Before you learned any sort of meta, you didn't even know what the word meta meant. Before you learned any team comp, there was this kid that would sit on Bastion and sit on the payload, and because all of us were in, like, silver, and none of us had any concept of team play or how to, like, get rid of him, he sat there on the payload and just won.
Yeah.
He sat there and you beat your head against the screen, and
how do I fucking kill Bastion?
And you yelled, and you screamed for team play, and no one helped you because he was invincible. Because your team was absolutely incapable of having more than one person shoot at him at a time. If 2 people did it, that was the secret. But no one was capable of that. Not a single person could do that. And so you had this kid.
PTSD you have.
Yes, this is.
She takes him out of PTSD.
Yes, the second reason for that, I've got like a 3-part reason here. The second reason for that is because, do you remember a long-ass time ago where Blizzard thought the best thing to balance this game was to cross Bastion into the fucking sky? And this guy, like, do you guys remember that? It was like season like 4. And they gave this dude, like, I don't know if you guys were playing at the time. I was.
I would have, but I'm trying to...
And I actually, that was the first time
I came in at
quit
season
the game.
5, actually.
I've been playing since
quit
beta,
the game because I could not deal with this. What it was, they decided that the best idea to get rid of a stale meta, I think this was either right before Dive, or they were trying to get rid of Dive. And they gave him, like, 50% more armor. And he became an unkillable tank.
That.
And this was he was so bad that this was the first and only time I have seen Blizzard come in and reverse a patch. It was so universally loathed, hated, vexation among the people, the players of Overwatch.
I remember you would
came in like 2 weeks early from the month patch and undid it.
Yeah, I remember that so much.
You remember that? Like that is some PTSD for people like trying.
I remember because everyone would be like, dive him, and then like no one would kill him.
Couldn't. He was like a Sherman tank. You were the Nazis invading into Russia, and he was the Russian winter. You were dead as soon as you looked at him and jumped in. Like,
no, they couldn't even cross the borders. That's how bad it was.
Exactly. It was
Napoleon attacking. That's what it was.
It was. I had PTSD. It was so bad. Like, it was awful. That was. It was the first time, and this was one of those like back when like Grave, you and I were playing. Like, we would get on and play like 3 hours every night.
Yeah,
and we
more
were
than 3 hours.
We were done because of that.
I can't fathom how Blizzard let that into live servers.
No one knows.
No,
to this
please,
day,
don't
it is a
release
great
it.
mystery. No one has any idea how that got through, or like who was bribed, or what happened there.
It was definitely Jeff. I reckon Jeff's a Bastion.
It probably was.
Wanted, like 2 weeks.
He liked Bastion in May for some ungodly reason we will never understand.
And hates mercy.
The ways of God are mysterious and higher than ours.
And hates mercy.
For the third reason, and this is a recent one, when you guys were telling me about and why you hated Bastion with the glass cannon comp, right? And you put everything into it, and the enemy team puts everything into it, and they finally triumph. And your team is like, we gave a good run of it. Okay, let's switch to our actual comp.
Oh.
And that kid on Bastion
doesn't swap
over the mic while everyone else is switching. I'm gonna stay on. Let's try it again.
Or leaves the viewer chat, whichever one.
And then you're like, God no.
All right, switch comp.
Leaves team chat, and you're stuck with this kid who is going to die on Bastion. This is the hill he's gonna die on, and like,
that's not even a hill.
You were like, there's just no.
We've all had games like that. We've all had games like that.
You must either accommodate this little bastard or lose. And you're gonna lose anyway, because everybody is so mad that they are forced to play Horsetail and protect a Bastion. And like, this guy refuses to, and like, annoyingly enough, is that like, frequently, he's like super annoyingly upbeat about it. He's like, no guys, I believe in it, we can work, we can do it, it'll work, trust me. And you're just like,
Shut up! Swap!
I hate you. This is why swatting was invented.
Yeah, but then that defeats what you were saying earlier about one tricks. You're coming into it yourself, yeah?
I'm not sure that those laws apply to, like, meme, like, hatreds, but, we can go with that if we want to do that.
So, again, people paid their $60 to play Symmetra, they'll play Symmetra. Okay.
I heard that before. I want to play $60 to play Symmetra, and I'm gonna do it. And you're like, all right, and I'm gonna pay $60 to call you a fucking asshole, and I'm gonna do that. Are we clear? Cool. So my next four, they're not gonna probably be as long as that. Again, in no particular order.
Pick. I'm scared to see the rest.
Yeah.
So that was okay. So the other, what did I say? It was like 2 that you probably can guess. 2 that I don't think you're gonna guess, and like 2 that are kind of weird, and then 1 is like, okay. So the one that everyone can probably guess, and I'm gonna be on Farrell's like hate side, it's Sombra.
3 people are dead to me now!
Destroyer! She doesn't deserve to be alive!
Listen, Sombra is a great fucking character!
No!
Try going against her. Try.
No.
I don't play against her! I fucking play her!
It's garbage!
She is one of 2 characters on this list where this is like a semi-serious reason. This is why I don't like her, playing against her. When you play this game, the thing about Overwatch, and like the devs have said this, like it's a key part of the like identity of this game, is play and counterplay. If you've got a character, there should be like let's take Pharah for example. Probably not even the greatest example. You got Pharah, right? You got a Pharah. Well, if you got a Pharah, she's going to be in the sky doing Pharah things, unless you come across the very rare subspecies of ground Pharah, and then either they're a god or they're like functionally retarded, like one of the 2.
That is
like
me.
And
you're like a Bastion main in disguise.
You want this infinite Bastion ult.
Yes. And so the enemy team's like, oh, look, they've got a Pharah. So you pick a hit scan. Okay, well, all right. And then you're back to the enemy team. It's like a chess match here, just really slow. And on, you paid $500, however the fuck much this console costs to play.
Paid $500.
That got away from me. That analogy got away from me. Whatever. Anyway, so your team is like, well, we could switch off the Pharah. That's one thing we could do. We could add a Mercy to the Pharah and make it a pharmacy, and maybe hopefully counter that McCree.
Oh.
There's like lots of things you can do here. Lots of counterplay. You can just, you can be like, well, let's do this, and then other people are like, well, let's just, there's lots of things you can do. The whole thing about that is you're supposed to be... Yeah, some people just give up. That is, probably not the best choice, but you can. You can just sit and spawn and cry and throw. I feel like, everybody... Half the people in Masters do that.
No, excuse me, I'm in Masters, that's offensive.
No, listen!
It's always a Smurf that, isn't really a Smurf, they're just whiny, and they're like, well, it's like you're playing in, Diamond, and people are having fun, and, this kid is like, pocket me on fire, and you're like, no, I don't want to play Mercy. And they're like, well, I'm gonna throw. And you should support my throwing because I'm actually a DM on my regular, as if that fucking matters. Yeah, sure. Well, okay, then you're a whiny asshole. All right, suck my cock. I don't really care. If you're GM. But, so, this is a part of a game where it's play and counterplay. That's part of the issue when we have these metas that won't move. The fundamental problem of these double shield meta or whatever is that you run out of things to counterplay. You get a thing where the only thing to counter that thing is the same thing. That's not fun. That's the problem. So Blizzard was like, okay, so we play this game where we've got all these things, you can do all these different things, and it's not fun when one thing just shuts down another thing, right? Because with the 2-2-2 meta or goats, you had to play goats against it. Unless your team was really, really bad at goats, you had to play goats against it. That's how you did it. Blizzard was like, let's take that concept and distill it into a character and call her Sombra. Sombra is a character. This entire game, the entire point of the character of Sombra is not fun. You want to play this game, you come on here to play a game to do different things, and Sombra's like, you know what? Wouldn't it be fun if you just couldn't play at all?
Imagine not, and then when a new hero comes out,
everything can be hacked.
You're in no limits.
And everyone.
You get this character.
Those people who sit in no limits when a new character comes out and just hacks everyone.
Exactly, and you're like, who hurt you? Why? So you get this character who comes in, and they're microtransaction into character. Their entire purpose is to make the game less fun. They're that's what it is. She comes over and hacks you. And so you can't actually play your character. I don't feel like this is outplaying. I don't feel like this is 500 IQ play. All of a sudden, your soldier can't run and your McCree forgot how to roll. That is the concept of this character. What can you do? The only thing, especially because they were like, let's do that, and then let's make her invisible so you can't see when she's going to do this to you.
Just say something about not wanting stuff.
And you're like, oh,
Ryan forgot to hold up his arm.
So you're sitting there and she hacks you. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll die. I guess I'm Lucy. I guess I'll die. I'm like, so for those of you who are Sombra fans and are like, well, that's just how you play her. Let me ask you, how fucking annoying is this? Have you ever been in a game where, I don't know, you sacrificed a goat to the wrong god or something, and you get a Sombra on the enemy team whose sole purpose is to follow you around and hack you. They just follow your ass around and they don't let you play the game. And that's it. That's what
I've had games like that.
You are ready to throw your fucking controller over the moon because you're like, that would actually get me further. That would be more fun. At least maybe there's some challenge in that than me sitting here and not getting to play the game I paid $60 to play. That is how I feel about Sombra.
Hear me out.
Meryl just likes the attention. That's the reason why.
Hear me out. Yes, I've had games like that where Sombra, her sole purpose is to make sure to stop me from playing the game. You know what I do? I say, Sombra, leave me the fuck alone. And my sole intention at that moment is to say, fuck you to Sombra and make sure that she dies.
And she keeps away. What do you do about that?
Okay, if I'm being serious, I'd be like, then that's, her entire point is to just make your team so mad and distract a player, hopefully a key member. Like, and you're like, the Sombra's actual ability is not hacking, it is tilting. I'm going to tilt the enemy team and pray they don't have, like, that is her ultimate, that's her secret ability. It's like hacking in real life or playing 3D chess on multiple levels. But, like, that is her as a character, and I don't like that. I just don't like it. Let me be mad.
I guess it's gonna be my job to convince you guys that Sombra isn't that bad.
Sat around. This is what I do, and I have done this in a game where we are having issues with the Sombra, where I get on Moira, and I suck, and I literally just spin in a circle. So that the moment she comes up to one of my tanks, it will at least alert me to her presence and counter her hack. I have spent games doing that, and it is stupid, but it works. At least in my level, I can get away with stupid shit like that.
It's like,
and like
you do try
that's
to
what
kill
I
the car,
do, and it's awful, and I hate this, and that's why I don't like it. Okay, so I'm sure that there's like all kinds of actual reasons, but like
next week I'm gonna have to convince you guys that Sombra isn't so bad.
Like,
no,
try.
Okay, so my last three. I don't know. Should you guys try and guess? Great, probably me. No, there are three. Two of them,
I'm gonna say
one of them is like two of them are gonna be kind of like I don't know if you're gonna
May.
guess
May.
I want to say May is one of them.
Risa. I want to say Risa is one of them.
No, neither.
What?
Wow.
One more guess, not May, not Arisa. Like
Symmetra.
Not Symmetra, okay.
What the fuck?
Grave is right, Widow is one.
What?
Really?
No,
like I said, I was like, okay, hear me out, and this is not just a get good thing. Like, it is actually, it's like, I'm saying that just because it really is that, and I'm just mad, and I want to be mad, so just let me be mad. Just let me be mad. There is no defending this opinion. It is bad. It is a bad, dumb opinion, and I don't care. I just want to be mad. So
you just can't play Widowmaker, so you hate her.
No, that's actually not it. I'm an awful Widowmaker. Here is why. So I don't know, this may or may not spark some debate. I have had this conversation, I know that Grave has heard this, I've had this conversation with multiple people in games, and it has always led to like an interesting debate. So I don't know if we want to have that.
Topic of one-hit combo things in the... This is where it's going to go down.
Essentially. Here's the thing.
Knew it.
So, let me just talk about this dichotomy a minute here. I'm not going to I'm just trying to make it quick, and I can also just shut up. Y'all can be like, yeah, shut the fuck up, we're moving on. So Widow, so this is a game that we're in this kind of like weird, no one cares about your opinion, Grave. We're in this weird...
Y'all didn't mind earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, but that was only out of politeness. Grave and I have been friends forever. He knows that this is none of this.
Grave is just dying. He's just like got shot like 4 times.
I don't know why he puts up with me. Like this person voluntarily.
She forces me to. I can't. Please help me.
She's very strange.
It's okay, dude. I'm on my way, dude.
Yes, please save me.
Please. Okay. So Widow. So we're in this weird sense that we are playing a game that is an FPS. It is marketed as an FPS. It has FPS characters, and yet. The last thing that anybody wants to do with Overwatch is play it like an FPS. We get mad, or a lot of people get mad, not everybody. Your higher skill level players like it, but everybody else gets mad when characters that is so-called like skill, like Widow, Soldier, McCree, anybody that you have to like basically aim and shoot. Like when those characters are nerfed, everyone rejoices except for the high level players who are like, y'all just can't into skill, and you're right, we can't into skill, and we just resent you for it, and so we're going to be annoyed when you have to get down on our plebe levels with us. But so anything like that. So in this game, that is an FPS. That is not played like an FPS, but yet wants to be an FPS, and yet has FPS characters. We have this weird character. We have Widow. We have a character whose entire concept is she's a sniper, and headshots are hard. Headshots are hard. They're so hard that supports are not allowed to have them. Our support sniper, they were like, you women on supports playing women, no. Y'all are nurturers. You cannot headshot. It's too skilled for you. This is a joke. You may laugh. But I'm talking about Anna. Anyway, so Widow, my cat is like upset at me. She's like, everyone hates you. No one got that. That's awful. Shut up. Okay. Everyone's a critic. Okay. So Widow, she's got this high skill ceiling where she one-shots people with a headshot. This is a thing that happens in FPSs. This is a good thing that happens in FPSs.
Right.
But yet, this is a thing that no one likes in Overwatch unless you are the headshotting Widow. How many times have you been on a team and you've got either like a Smurf on the other side or a really good Widow. Like you are playing, especially in some of these league matches, where maybe your team's like over SR is Diamond or Masters, and you've got a fucking like god tier GM Widow.
Do you want to give me some advice?
No, because I just want to be mad. Like again, I
will take the lady bitch.
Shields exist. Play behind shield.
So, all right, I'm smart enough for that. But have you ever been with a team that can't figure that shit out? That they will not stay behind their goddamn shield?
I play with capable people. I only play with capable people.
Well, then you must be a god of attracting randoms and things like that. Because we have been all.
I don't play with randoms. That's the way.
If that's probably it then. But like, if you've ever had a team that has a GM Widow and you guys are just getting fucking stomped, they are outplaying you even with your shields. Your team is spinning, and here's the thing: it's not even necessarily that your team can't hide behind shields. It is that you are forced to play behind shields, and you are forced. My cats won't shut up. I don't know what's going on. You are forced. Like, even if the Widow's not getting headshots, her very presence, by being so good and in GM that she will kill you the moment you step behind your outside of your shield, that you are forced into, like, a style of play that is, like, it's not as free. You're stuck behind that shield. You can't go off and do things, and you're so focused on trying to block that Widow that her entire team has free run. You get into this position where, like, oh, my God, it is so frustrating because you've got this one player who, because of this character, is designed to, it's sort of like God mode in Overwatch. If you can headshot people, like, that's it. You can kill anybody because it's that one shot. And like, yes, I get that shields exist and everything, but the entire purpose is that she's forcing you now to play these certain teams because of one other person. You are forced into double shield. You are forced to stay behind your Rhine. You are forced to play things that maybe you didn't want to. You're forced to play tighter than normally. You have got one player that has forced you guys into this stalemate, and that's frustrating. And like I said, this player is being rewarded for that skill. They should be commended for that ability. They are a GM Widow. They are top of the line. They are so scary and like good at this game that they are forcing your entire team to counter them. That shit is infuriating. When you're and you're just like, well, I see that no one likes having fun because I can't have fun because this Widow is making me play like others, and your team is mad at each other because you're all screaming at each other, won't somebody kill the Widow? But no one can because the moment you leave behind your shield, you get shot. Like, I know that, like, okay, maybe not you, Sig, because you're a god and you play with other godlike people, but the rest of us
he's so lucky.
Down on Earth have experienced this.
I'm a Rhine player, so I have a shield of myself, so I'm alright.
There you go. And that's great, but have you ever seen your GPS like getting fucking pissed and like they're all blaming each other, your team is just getting mad? Well, you must know.
I have El Madrito, so I'm okay.
God tier like players. And that's cool, but I know the rest of us down here in the mud and planet Earth, like playing that shit is infuriating, and there's nothing you can say about it because they're outplaying you. They're just better than you. Your own Widow can't outshoot them. You're stuck behind your shields because you don't have a GM God Widow, and I just want to be mad because, like, they're just too good. And in a game like Overwatch, it's kind of this weird thing. Like, this is the part that actually sparks that. Is not just me being mad or whatever. The part that sparks that is where does a character like Widow fit into this game? You're playing this game where it is supposed to be teamwork, it's supposed to be counterplay, but yet this one character in the hands of a master can be so overpowered. Like, where does that fit? Some people say, like, if you were to ask me, and I'll ask you this, if you were to ask me to pick out which character in Overwatch fits the least in this game, I would say Widowmaker, because she is the only character that can, here's my reasoning, she is the only character that can almost solo carry. The only character that if you are that good with her, you can take out and counterplay almost any other character. It takes an entire coordinated team to be able to counterplay if you are a god tier Widow. And your team is like mediocre. You can actually put together, this would be a fun experiment to do. Get a GM Widow and like a platinum team versus a team of like solid diamonds. Who would win?
The Widow would lose if they know how to play dive.
Yeah.
Maybe.
For instance, I can guarantee that a top 500 Widowmaker on an enemy team against the Horsemen, he'd be gone in a second because we can actually play an adapter dive.
Okay, cool. I know that I have played with a lot of one of my friends is Dirtiest Turtle. He was top 10, maybe top Widow on console, and playing in games against him with other people and GM watching him play and friends play against them. You had to counterplay in completely different ways with a top GM Widow than you had to with any other character. She forces you to play in different ways. And the dive and everything like that, as long as, yes, there are ways to counter her. It's not that there's end all be all, but those, she's the only character that can require like an entire team to need to coordinate in certain ways in order to take her out and neutralize her. She can't just have a free one, but you've got to have enough people going together to dive her as well as take care of her team. A top rank Widow player can shut down entire teams. I have seen this happen in leagues before. I've seen this when watching games in different leagues where someone brings in a GM Widow or a really high Widow player, and that person just dominates. That team dominates, and they weren't dominating. They will lose without that Widow player. And I just, what I'm talking about in the position of like Widow as like what character fits in less, it's because she has these one-hit kills that she's only, if you are that amazing Widow player, you can take out anybody in the game, you can 1v1 anyone in the game, and you're going to need to do a 1v2, 1v3 to be able to take her out. And that's a rare thing that I don't think any other characters can super match.
What about Hanzo? Hanzo has a one-hit ability, Roadhog has a one-hit technical ability, Reinhardt has a one-hit ability. What about all these other people?
Yeah.
Well, they do have that, and I'm not saying that those aren't, they're not dangerous. But the thing I think about Widows that makes hers so much more devious is because she can be very far away outside of team play. Like Roadhogs, even Hanzo's, you've got to be closer up. There's this sense where like, the Roadhog, he's got to be in range of you. And if you're in range of him, you're in range of certain abilities. Widow can sit all the way across the other side of the map where you cannot counterplay her simply because she's so far away. And that's part of the thing that makes it devious. She's, it's not that people don't have one-shot ability. That is not the end-all be-all. It is that one-hit combo, along with her range and along with the skill level. I would say Widow's probably the highest skill level in the game. I mean, would you not agree for a sniper headshot? I mean, maybe there's other ones, but like the Roadhog combo, Hanzo one-shot, he doesn't even quite do the headshot quite like she does because she can do so far away and it's just a different kind of thing than these others. Other characters have that.
But there is a skill gap, though. I mean, like, you couldn't just go out there not playing Widow and just pick up Widow and just instantly just start killing everyone. So it is a thing of people being good. So I don't necessarily say she's broken because another good Widowmaker can kill a good Widowmaker.
Oh no,
so
I didn't say she was broken. What I was saying is that this is difficult to counterplay without another Widow is the other point. Unless you have an equally good Widow, you've got to have an entire team working together to counterplay her. All of these others, Hanzo, Roadhog, these other like one-shots, it's not that they don't exist, but I don't see the level of coordination needed to take those out or neutralize those that I do against a really good Widow. The only really the person that can only take out a really good Widow is another really good Widow. There's other counterplay to the Hanzo, to the Roadhog, there's stuns, there's things like that don't work, that Widow neutralizes because of the distance. And that's why, and I'm not saying, I didn't say she's broken or bad or anything like that, and that's part of the thing. My entire point is that it is rewarding a high school play that you've got to be this god character, and you are basically to earn, her ability to do this is well-deserved and earned. But that's why I just want to be mad. I'm not saying that, like, I just want to be mad because I'm not that good. And that is so, and it's not just frustrating, but, like, you're in awe of this player still, but you also don't know how to go against it. It's hard to do that without a coordinated team or another Widow that's just as good. And so that's why I'm saying, like, I just want to be mad because my point is she is that good. She deserves to be able to do those things.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah. So, number 2?
Okay, okay, number 2. I'll go with this. I'm gonna go with the least. Like, this was the one that was kind of like, Junkrat.
Now you are officially dead to me.
As soon as I hit Junkrat,
oh no! No,
He
Pharaoh,
loves
how can
Junkrat
this
so
be?
much.
He's gonna vote me off the board. They're gonna
his
overthrow
favourite.
me.
In
Okay,
the,
so...
Listen.
in the cast yesterday, he sat there and explained on Junkertown why Junkrat was
Junkrat,
favourite
listen, Junkrat is my all-time favorite character.
Junkrat. I love Junkrat. I love Junkrat Roadhog. Grave is an amazing Junkrat. Like, Junkrat, were you...
Yes.
I actually started out playing this game. I played in a duo with a friend of mine who is still in silver and never plays anymore, named Askrod. We play Warframe. He's a really good friend of mine. And I would play Hog, he would play Junkrat, and we called what would we call it? We called us the Pack of Human Cigarettes when we were both Junkrat. And it was fun. So here's why Junkrat is in my shit list. I love Junkrat. I think he's a great character. But have you ever just been like going about your business and like you're playing and all of a sudden out of fucking nowhere you just die to a random Junkrat mine? And you're like, what the fuck? And you see, so you're like, where did that even come from? Like, there's nobody here. I'm all by myself. And so you watch the kill cam and there is just this cunt sitting over there.
He's just lobbing.
He's just lobbing him like up in the air. Like, he ain't even aiming at shit. He just lobbing him and he just like gets a kill and is like, whoa! And you're just like, I hate you, you stupid fucker. Like, you weren't even aiming for me. You weren't even firing in my general direction. I just walked into it and died. And that like makes you so mad.
So yeah,
because you're like, this was totally avoidable.
So yeah, basically,
a funny story real quick.
Basically, I'm the person you hate because that's literally what I do.
So here's the thing about that is like, that happens to me and I just die. And I like, you know, among Junkrat mans, I know that it's considered dishonorable if you actually see the enemy when you kill them. That's like dishonorable. And like, I'm not even really mad. I will just be like, oh my fucking god. Like, you're not mad. It just takes a moment to process. And it's both like funny because like, you just died to the most random, like, avoidable bullshit. But also, like, you died, and now your team is gonna make fun of you because you died to a random Junkrat mine. And, like, no, it does not matter how much you try to explain that it was a random thing, that, like, there's absolutely no way you could have predicted that because you died to a spawn grenade. They're just like, oh, no, Yiggs, you need to actually watch where you're going. And you're like, no, I can't! I can't! Don't you understand? I can't! There was no way to predict this. They're like, Yiggs, no, you really need to be better at this game. Like, no! No. That is my reasoning. That is it. There's
what
nothing
you gonna
other
say,
than
Grave?
that.
I have a funny story about Junkrat. It's like, I remember this crystal clear. I was on Ilios well, and I was just moving up to the point, and I was just gonna sit behind this wall and just spam. I would not move my camera, just spam, and I kill a fucking Farah out of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
And like, there's another map on Eichenwald. I demolished this Farah as Junkrat 3 times.
It was like, yeah, he was just sitting there, like, spamming. He's like, it won't happen again. The fire just, like, walks out and is like, this time I'm going to go left, and, like, walks into the random mine and fucking dies. And then he's like, the first, like, oh no, okay, so the Junkrat's spamming to the left. I'm gonna go right. Fucking dies. And we are dying laughing. Like, Grave and I are, like, laughing. We were, like, crying. We were laughing so hard because just imagining what this poor Farah is thinking. Like, that person's mixture of, like, disbelief and self-hatred that they are literally that stupid. And so, like, it happens again. And Grave's just, like, and, like, you can just think the Farah's like, I'm gonna go out the other spawn door. They'll never find me. And fucking dies again.
You want me to hit scan to counter the Farah?
I think, like, we had to stop playing because we were laughing so I think she switched off at that point.
As you should.
Okay, so I know you guys are like, finally, Yiggs is gonna fucking stop talking. Okay, this is the last one.
I thought I was gonna rant for a while.
No, it's me.
A rival?
So, I'm gonna be
What's
honest.
this?
A rival.
Are we
This
still
is
on the
why I'm
fourth one?
not
I'm
invited to
confused.
things. I'm not invited because I never shut up, and I never shut the fuck up ever, and I'm sorry, and like, this is what happens when I'm sleep deprived and drunk. This is like, I'm not even really drunk. This is what you get when I'm like in pain and on meds. This is the experience. So the last one, I'm going to get a bunch of booze from this, and I'm gonna have some people mad at me. And again, this is in no particular order.
Don't you dare say Reinhardt.
It's not Ryan. It is a tank.
Don't you?
You guys, I'll let you guys.
Diva. It's Diva.
Yes, it's Diva.
Oh no!
What?
Oh no!
Oh no!
Okay.
You've got 3 characters that I love.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You excites Vero.
I
Confirmed.
apparently, you know what? I don't hate your characters. I just hate you.
Hate's a strong word, my friend.
We're trying. Yes, but I mean it. Yeah, listen. So why Diva? How can I hate Diva? Is there anything about Diva that I? Like, how can you not like her?
Fuck the mouse.
Defense Matrix.
I'm bomb.
No, okay. This is another one of those where this is nonsensical and there's like no actual reason.
Fine.
So, okay. Here's why I hate Diva. And okay, this is a support player's lament.
Oh, because she dives you and boo-hoo, you can't live.
It's not even that. This is, like, that's legitimate. Like, that's an actual, like, I could say that and you guys would understand where I'm coming from. This is, like, a dumb complaint.
I understand that too well.
This is just, like, okay, so this is what that is. Technically, this can also be applied to Ball, but Diva was the original, so that's why I'm going to say this. Even before 222, there was a time when you could pick any fucking character you wanted. You would go in to a comp game full of hope. Maybe this would be the one. I don't know why you decided to do this for the 50th time today, but you have decided to solo queue. For some reason, you think that that is going to actually work this time. It has never worked in the history of 2 years of playing Overwatch, but you thought today was your day. You go in, and you're staying there, and so you pick your character. You are, like, you're in team chat, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a good one. Deeks, no, I'm sorry, I have no food for you, and I'm not throwing them ice right now. She wants me to throw her mouse. She's a good girl. But anyway, we love Deeks. Anyway, so you're hopeful. You're sitting. I'm painting this image for you, and you are like, okay, you know what? I'm the helpful support me that I am. I'm going to encourage my team. I want them to know that they're not going to be stuck in a game with no support. It says this could happen in the days before T2. So you go in and you pick Mercy. And you're like, all right, I'm going to be the ultimate helpful support. I'm going to res my tanks and DPS. I'm going to damage boost and pocket my Genji. I'm going to heal everybody. It's going to be wonderful. And you see, like, you're ready to go, and you're like, you're waving, you're in voice chat, and there's like one other person in voice chat, and you're like, oh, okay, at least one other person's here, so I can coordinate. Whoever that is, I'm going to stick with them, right? So you see, first person picks. It's a Hanzo. Okay, what do you expect of that? When is there not a Hanzo? The next person is a Genji. If there's a Hanzo, there's a Genji. That's just how it goes. Like, there you go. You have the Shimada brothers, and you're like, all right, okay. So we got our DPS, hopefully. All right, you're just looking around, and you're like, okay, no, there's still 3 people they haven't picked. So I'm still in the clear. This could still go okay. Somebody picks, you're sitting there, and you watch, and someone picks Junkrat. And you're like, okay, all right, cool. We've got, there's no synergy between any of these characters, but okay, but that's fine, that is okay. It's all right, I'm still believing.
Junkrat can still do well.
Yeah, Junkrat can do well, like, we can work with 3 DPS, as long as we have another support and a tank, or whatever, we can work with this. I'm willing to sit with my tank and work with them.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The 4th person picks. And they pick Soldier. And you're like, oh,
shit.
Well, okay. All right, so they pick Soldier. Okay, well, at least this guy can heal himself,
Soldier can heal. Soldier can heal.
So Soldier can heal himself, so that's not too bad, right? That's at least, he can kind of take care of the DPS. And
Hope's dying a little bit.
And you're like, there is one left. And you look, and you see that this person is in chat. And you're like, oh my god, okay, that's fine. I would get a tank.
Who even... No, sorry, I forgot who the character was.
Diva.
Oh,
right. So you're sitting there, and you're looking at your 4 DPS, and you're like, okay, well, with this, my loyal tank, I will get a tank. I will get a Rhine to protect me, maybe an Orisa to protect me. Heck, I'll get a Zarya that can bubble me. Even Hog. Hog could at least heal himself and hide behind him. But no, you are sitting there. You have 4 DPS, all of which are going to run around like crazy. And you're praying for your tank to pick anybody that can protect you, because as the lone mercy, you're going to need protection, because everybody and their brother, you are now the primary target.
Can be tanked.
And you look down there, and you see the person in chat.
After her nerf?
And they pick Diva. And you were like, okay, all right, D.Va's technically a tank. Okay, cool. D.Va is a tank.
She is a tank.
So I can follow her around, and she can protect me. And okay, so all right, so this will still work out. You go in this game.
I think you suffer from not playing with good players. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like this list is just you suffering from not playing with the right people.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that is, but like, you know, that's fine. A lot of this is also meant to be humorous. And so you get this D.Va, and you're like, cool, okay, at least my D.Va will kind of protect me. And so you're gonna stick with your D.Va and try. And you're like, of all the people, of all the tanks, this is the one you picked. Okay, you know, at least try and protect me. But no, what do you get? You get the D.Va who, your DPS are off doing their own thing. You get this D.Va whose favorite thing to do is to immediately dive into a 1v5 every single time. Every single time they go into a 1v5, they immediately waste their defense matrix. They get out of mech and they die. And then they spam you for not healing them. And you do this every single time. That is one support player's lament. That is the gold lament.
Yeah,
The next time, right? So you come back, right? You're gonna come back. You're like, all right, that sucked. We lost, and this. So you come back and you're like, all right, and you're going through the same things, and you're hoping. You're God hoping. You're looking. You know, even like everyone's there, and you're like praying to God that you'll get a tank player. They must play tank. It is a D.Va, and the same thing happens.
I feel the pain. I feel the pain.
I seem to get this person. It's not necessarily that it's not D.Va the character necessarily, but I don't know why. And Ball can also fit here. I seem to get this person who, like, even in 222, this happens too, right? We've got our DPS that are sitting there being DPS, and then we get a support competition. We get competition. We get like a Baptiste and like a Mercy. We're set up for a bunker comp, right? And you get a tank, and you get like Roadhog or something like that, and you're like, okay, well, we need a shield tank, right? Or hopefully on 222.
And they go Hammond or D.Va.
This is the double shield tank meta. We could at least use one, right? Please. They go D.Va. They go D.Va.
D.Va's nice.
D.Va is great if you are in a group and you are working together synergy. But every single time I am in a group of less than 5, and that last person is there, I don't know why, they always pick D.Va. It doesn't matter what our team comp is. It doesn't matter that D.Va is the last character that fits in anything. They pick her.
DPS players.
Well, because it's a DPS's tank. It makes sense.
Right.
Yeah,
that and Hog, it makes sense. It's because they can actually do something on those roles.
I don't know if I am just
free play of the game.
Yes, but it seems like every time that it's like that, or we're playing like Zen Lucio, and they're like, let's pick D.Va, the tank that takes the most heals.
Zen Lucio, that's the problem, not the fucking D.Va.
So, you know what? Like, I seem to get, and for me, I think everybody has got a character like this where, like, they're the last person you want, because it seems like every single person, every single random that picks this character for you is horrid. D.Va is mine. D.Va is always picked. Like, Ball is kind of getting up there, but I feel like Ball, like, a little bit different, because it seems like every time I get this D.Va, they are not useful. They do not know how to DM. They sit there and they think that flank dive D.Va is the way to play. They do not communicate with their team that they ever do this. And these are, it's one thing if you do have a set group of 6 people that you are lucky enough to play with every single time you want to play comp. I am not that lucky. But it seems like we always get this D.Va as our 6th player. That is my list. And it's really just full of salt and hatred. None of it's actually good. That's just how it is.
Okay. So now it's my turn to follow that up. Great. All right,
okay.
So,
it's really you're good.
So before I get started, I do have an honorable mention.
Oh God, really? An honorable mention?
How mad
you are the whole mentions.
So, and this honorable mention actually goes to Winston. Now, Winston, I love him as a character. I love Winston. But I play supports primarily, so I just hate it when a Winston fucking jumps onto me. That is the only reason I don't like this.
He's playing the video game. Please don't play the video game. Oh no!
Have you ever been followed
the
around
only
by
reason he's on this
Winston.
list, and that's why he's an honorable mention. It's just because I play supports and I just
Yes.
hate it when a Winston dies. He is
The
not
worst thing is when you
officially
got a
my top
Winston.
5.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was in a game like the other day, and we were playing against a Winston whose sole purpose was to make my life hell. And for some reason, none of our tanks or supports could deal with none of our DPS could deal with him. We would be screaming. I think it was Numb of all, like, both of us were playing, and we were like, please, the Winston! He's been following me around for literally 20 seconds
Just
because
play
I'm
Reaper,
sitting here
foreheads.
counting it
They're
up.
playing support!
Yes, I'm on support. I cannot switch to Reaper. And like
Well,
sometimes
play
for
Baptiste.
whatever reason,
He'll
destroy immortality.
Not if your team are good.
That's the thing he's trying to say, is they weren't peeling!
they weren't peeling.
It buys
the
them more
problem.
time to peel.
The thing is that like I said, I'm sitting here counting it off. 1, 2, 3. This Winston has been on me for 3 jump packs. You guys should fucking come here and help. So I kind of like want to like preface this. Most of these annoyances would not happen with better teammates. So I want to like clearly we are not playing with the best people when we are annoyed by these guys.
Yeah.
There is counterplay. So I feel like constant, like being like, well, just have better teammates, forehead. Like, yes, that is the answer. But in these particular things, they wouldn't be this annoying if either our teammates were better or whatever, like. But if we wanted to be serious all the time, you wouldn't have me on here.
Just be good, forehead, and then we don't have to have any issues.
Alright.
There you go.
So now let me get into my list. Now, these first 2, I feel like you guys are gonna hate me a little bit.
Oh my! If it's Reinhardt, I'm gonna leave.
It is not Reinhardt. Reinhardt is actually one of my
There's
favorites.
only one person that I get mad about for people hating. So
No, this number
you
5.
know who it is.
Number 5.
Mercy.
I have. It is
No.
not Mercy. Number 5 for me
No,
is actually
you clearly
Tracer.
What?
That's
Oh, okay.
fair. That's fair.
No.
Now, the reason I don't like
okay.
Tracer. Now, the reason I don't like
Okay.
Tracer is I think she's a little overrated. Now, I do not like the poster character.
I don't like people playing the game.
Oh,
because
you're
they
like,
die
I don't
for
like her
me.
because she's popular. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, no,
it's not.
it's not that I hate playing against Tracers. It's not that I hate playing Tracer. It's none of that. It's nothing related to the game itself. It's just I do not like the poster character. I feel like they are too popularized, and I like characters that are more lesser known.
Underdog.
Yeah. So that's why Tracer's number 5 is I just don't like the poster character. Number 4 for me, and this is just personal reasons, and it's more of the matter that I just need to get good. I don't like Pharah.
Oh my god.
I know I need to get good. I've just never been good at dealing with Pharahs. I don't know why. I just can't deal with a Pharah.
Just play McCree, forehead.
Mate,
I tried!
There are such things as walls, my friend. Guess what? Walls, unlike barriers, they do not get broken.
But I
if
can't
you hide
aim.
behind one,
I know,
you'll live.
and I've done this. I've done all these things, and for some reason I still can't kill the fucking Pharah.
Your job isn't to kill the Pharah, that's why you're not playing DPS. Stop focusing on the Pharah.
That's like part of the issue, though. Like, if your DPS just are bad, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I can't do anything. I just want to
What
kill
games
myself.
are you guys getting that everyone just doesn't understand how to use their phones?
God!
Fucking surprised.
You'd be surprised. I guess
no one is
we're the
using
ones
your
to blame
thumbs.
because we make bad decisions, like deciding to like solo queue on like the last
Yeah.
comp, and
Yeah.
we seem to get people whose thumbs have been replaced with feet, and like that's how they want to play, and they're blindfolded as
Like,
well.
people in Masters are bad, but they're not that bad. Like, what the hell?
Okay,
You'd be
so
surprised,
remember that like
honestly.
not only do a lot of us, we're not always playing in Masters, a lot of us do have Smurfs and we're playing with other things, or we're like down in Diamond.
Oh, you smurfing.
Ooh.
Or not even,
Oh.
okay, Smurfing's not exactly the right word, but like,
Uh-oh.
my support, alright, no, you know my dirty little secret now, I have
Uh-oh.
my tank is in platinum when my support is in diamond. But like, when you get down there and like, so your gameplay aspect, like, you know more about the game, and like you know how things should be, but because you're like DPS or you're like tank and he's like way down there or whatever, you're used to playing with people in Diamond Masters, but you're down in Gold Platinum, and now you have to contend with it while you learn to get good. That's where you end up with these kind of things.
Yeah. Alright, so number 3 for me is Brigitte.
Oh my god. Brigitte is so good. I love Brigitte.
She's good, but annoying.
She's my little bitch. I love Brigitte.
Listen, my hatred for Brigitte is during the fucking goats meta. Okay,
Yeah,
if you wanna know something about me, I fucking hated goats.
You did.
I hated it.
Like it as well.
You did.
I can't play my Mercy. I don't want to play Ghost.
It wasn't that, because when Goats came out, I was actually playing more Zen than I was Mercy. So I could play in Goats. I played Zen, I played Lucio. I can play in Goats. I just did not like Goats.
That's fair, because one of the things about Goats is, like, if you had 2 evenly matched teams, what you ended up with was a 5-minute long battle where everybody just smashed into each other. And like, that wasn't
I
fun.
loved Goats because I was the Rhine in Goats, and I was also the Brigitte sometimes.
And in my hatred for Brigitte even comes out closer.
Not fine.
My dislike of Brigitte even comes out when she was first came out, and I know she's been nerfed, but I fucking hated how she was basically unkillable. She would pop out so much armor, she would pop her rally, and you couldn't fucking kill her!
Oh god, I do remember that. That's awful.
No, I'm also
like, we're like Vietnam
good.
War, like flashbacks, like
Nah, listen, this is how good I was at Brigitte. I would get like games where I'd have like 97% kill participation.
Yeah.
I played Lucio.
Yeah. Alright, so number 4, we've already gone over this character. It is May. Fuck May.
Okay, that's the one I'm gonna agree with you, okay? May can go die.
I figured everybody would have May on the list. I did not put her on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think I need to explain why I hate May. Just fuck May.
Yeah.
And now my number 1.
I end up with a lot of creative insults against me.
My number 1.
Here it comes.
I loathe her entirely.
Are you gonna get me back for what I've done to you?
It is Symmetra. I fucking hate Symmetra with all my soul.
Oh no!
Okay, Symmetra's a really good character.
What the hate flew through your tell
Fuck Symmetra! Fuck her! So, I go into these matches, and I swear to God, I lose 90% of the matches that I go against a fucking Symmetra just because she's fucking there. I hate her so much, I feel like her damage ramps up way too fast. She can fucking kill a Roadhog in less than 2 seconds! At full charge! She deals over 600 damage in less than 2 seconds. Her turrets have to slow you down for whatever fucking reason, and then deal massive amounts of damage that you go in there with 3 turrets stuck on you and you're playing a squishy, you are dead if all 3 turrets walk onto you.
That's your tank's fault.
Sounds like my Sombra.
No,
just
it's your tank's fault.
It's
literally the tank's fault, the reason why you are dying, just so you're aware. If Symmetra has constantly got a ramp of 3, it's because of your tanks. They're feeding her.
Alright, but let me keep going, because like I said, I've got a rant about this shit! So, Symmetra...
I'm here for it!
I was here, I came in Season 5, so I know about the old version of Sim before the rework, where she had fucking shield generator and teleporter as her ult, and had the basically Sigma shield.
I remember that before then. I was like, I was born in the light. You were merely whatever. Like
I remember when she used to give shields to people.
Yes, but like I said, I came in at Season 5, and I started hating her in that season because I thought she took 0 skill. I still think she takes like next to no skill to fucking play her.
You as a child?
When I would go against a sim, it pissed me off that all she had to do was look in your general direction and hold down trigger, and that beam's gonna lock onto your ass because it just immediately did that. And you're like, I can't fucking escape this. Now, then again, I was in silver, but my hatred has grown since then, because after her rework, she still basically just has to look in your fucking general direction, and you're just gonna get hit by that fucking beam, because it...
You just died. Just because
you really are
you,
mad,
that's
aren't
why.
you?
I hate Symmetra with all my soul, and I'm sorry to anybody watching if you one-trick Symmetra or you call yourself a Symmetra mate. My personal opinion, you have no fucking skill if you have to resort to playing Symmetra.
Jesus Christ!
Oh no! Oh god, the personal insults.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just
Kaplan's
hate
gonna
her.
come to your house and
I
destroy
hate
you.
her so much. Oh man. Oh. Give me a minute to cool down.
You really do sound mad, to be fair. Like, what the fuck, dude? You come. You generally sound like you want to actually just go to Symmetra's house and just destroy her in real life.
I hate her.
Like the Symmetra voice actress be like, if you kill her, she won't exist.
Oh, and she's such a sweetheart too. She's so nice.
I
I've never met her, but she seems really nice.
I just fucking hate Symmetra. Ugh.
I think you just hate anyone I think you just hate anyone who beats you in the game. I think that's what it is.
I can understand Symmetra because it seems like insult added to injury. Like, not only does she have turrets that slow you down, it's like Mei, right? Like, May's like freeze, but she's got that in turret form. So it's not just Mei. But it's like those close to one shots where you've got like the Roadhog doing so much damage, or like the Widow body shot bandit. It's that rolled into one character. And then as soon as you think you're about to kill her, bam, she puts down a wall with 7,000 fucking health and then dances between it. And you might as well just give up. It's like adding insult to injury because every time is a new version of fuck you directly in the face. I can understand how he feels.
Yeah. No.
See, I don't know. Maybe I just picked too high of a level to even not like that sounds really scummy. Actually, now I I don't know. Like, these characters are never issues for me. They're like very like basic and very like whatever to me. Like, if they have one, it's more of a walk in the park for us.
Like, for me,
did you ever, like, when you started this game, did you never run into things like that? When you were like,
oh yeah, but you learn to deal with it.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of this, please note, a lot of this shit is like, we're literally talking about Season 3. I don't think we're still struggling with Season 3 Symmetra.
I think you guys have a really bad PTSD.
Yeah, well, but like, you know,
no, this is current. This my hatred has grown even since today. I played against like 5 Symmetras and I fucking hated all of them.
Oh my god.
Every new iteration, it only gets worse.
So,
his hate only grows stronger.
Like, to me, Symmetra is Yiggs's diva, to me.
Oh,
it's that one character that you just keep running into.
And you get that one person and they're just like that. They're just like a detriment to your game.
Yeah.
It's like such an absolute drag. You would rather them throw by going AFK because that would accomplish
it's not even when it's on my team.
Trying. Yeah.
But because like I said earlier, I feel like 90% of the time that I run into a Symmetra player on the enemy team, I end up losing. Just because Symmetra's there. Because it's always the sim that starts popping off and she doesn't die.
Oof.
It does seem when they're on a streak like no one can kill them. It's like we all just collectively panic and no one can do anything. It's kind of funny.
Everyone just forgets how to breathe. It's just
Yeah, none of us can shoot. We're just like we just don't know what to do with it. We're just discombobulated. We're like, how do you? It's a laser beam going directly in my face from 20 feet. I don't know what to do.
Here's my advice for you, okay?
I'll just sit here and piss my pants. That's what I'll do.
Just respect her and you'll be okay.
Easy for you to
don't
say.
respect her,
give her a nice, safe distance. You know, don't try to. Just
you think I haven't tried?
At least 5 feet in between the wild Symmetra and you.
You think I haven't tried? No, this sim always, for some reason, starts coming after me because look at me, I'm a little Zenyatta, so Symmetra's just gonna fuck me in the ass.
Yeah, so you're like extra countered. Oh no. Guess I'll die.
As I said, It's everyone who counters him. He hates them. He hates losing.
Okay, listen. I do hate losing, but that's because I'm overly competitive. But I do not hate Symmetra because I hate losing. I just hate Symmetra.
So, like, a lot of this,
much.
Counterpoint to just hating losing, a lot of this we're hating to lose to, like, dumb shit. Dumb, annoying shit. It's not necessarily, like, for a lot of these characters that we're putting out, like, Junkrat, Sombra, you don't feel like you're outplayed. You just died to random bullshit, and that's just... you never feel good when it feels like you died to something outside of your control, or that you feel like was kind of unfair. I'm not saying that it was, but all of these characters really make you feel that way. Dying to a random Junkrat thing, like spam. You step in a trap that you didn't know was there. Symmetra turret. You ran through a door and you got killed because you're going slow, and so your first instinct when you get shot is to back out, but because you're backing out into it, it does more damage. It's like shit like that where it's like dumb shit, and like that's obnoxious.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like every single one of this is like something that was just annoying to die to. It's less that you got shot or got outplayed. It was just like dumb shit.
Yeah. Well, now everyone knows how they can piss me off.
We know now. 1v1.
Oh,
I'm not doing it. No.
6 Sims, 1
I do not acquiesce.
6 Sims, 1 fail.
Listen, if that were to happen to me, I would straight up leave.
Just be glad you're piling back in season 1 where everyone could be symmetric.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy about that.
Like, there's a reason that we don't play Total Mayhem in this house.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's been going on for a while now.
Yeah, I think we're stretching on to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think most of this was just sitting around, like, bullshitting. Probably no one's listening, but, like...
Probably not. But this will be on YouTube, so...
I did look at the comments, like, an hour ago, and there was, like, some guy going, "Hey, have you seen the hacker in game? Ah, yes, you have. Okay. Hi? Question mark." I'm like, what?
That's kind of funny. I can think of several people that would be. I'm not going to name them because they will get upset with me if I do. But there's lots of people.
I'm just like, what the hell's going on in this chat?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, "Have you seen Hacker? Hi, you have?
No one listens to us. We have fun, and that's the important part.
Yes.
But with that though, I feel like next week we should probably do our list of our favorites.
Yes.
Just
we could
because
offset the negativity.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for mine though, that's the issue.
All of mine is just one character, so it's
Number
fine.
1, Brigitte. I love her.
You could come here with like a list of like every single one that we hated. Just to be contrarian.
What? Who, me?
Sigs.
No, you see, my list is literally going to have fucking Sombra and Junkrat both on it.
And Diva. Don't forget that one. You are a sad man. You are a sad man, just so you're aware.
I know I'm a very, very sad man.
This is the only thing we can get joy from. Like, Farrell, I don't even know how old you are, but aren't you one of the older ones with me? Where like this, the only joy we could get out of is like hating on other people.
I am.
Younger people.
I think I'm up there. I think I'm up there.
Up there, okay.
Say your age. Say your age.
Only if you say yours.
I'm older than dirt. I'm a 300-year-old swamp witch.
If I said mine, you would hate yourself. So I'm good.
How old are you? How old are you?
Guess.
14.
27.
14? Are you okay?
19.
You said I would hate myself.
Okay, Yiggsy said 27.
Okay,
23.
I'm throwing out a random number.
Okay. Well, I'm actually 16.
Fuck! I was close to the first time!
That makes a lot of sense. You have a very deep voice for that age. That does make sense.
I'm 17 this month, actually.
Pog, how old are you?
Yeah.
16.
16.
Fucking A. Both of you are better than me, and you're younger.
Apparently I sound like a guy though who's been like smoking like a lot of pot for the last couple
If you guys want to know,
you've got a good voice for like podcasts and things like that. It's good.
A lot of people told me I have a voice for radio.
Yeah, it's
I
really
don't know
good.
why.
If you guys want to know, I am 21 in April.
You are always younger than I think you are. For some reason, I always have you around like 24, 25.
Yeah, no,
I don't know why.
I'm gonna be 21.
Boomers, what's happening then?
Boomers. Okay, boomer.
I'm not a boomer! What the fuck? I was born in 99!
Okay, that's something a boomer would say. That's what a boomer would say.
Boomer.
Boomer mentality, okay.
Okay,
yeah,
Zoomer,
boomer isn't an age, it's a mindset.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, Yuma.
Humor.
That's Gen Y, innit? Yuma.
Now listen here, you younglings. Back in my day.
Excuse me, I'm a Zoomer, not a youngling.
So am I. A fucking 99, boy. 99.
Okay, Boomer, calm down, dude. He's getting mad now. We've offended him with technology. He didn't know we could talk over the internet.
Fuck, children have opinion. Alright. Well, I think we're pushing on 2.5 hours now, so I think it's time to wrap up.
Yep, that was fun.
That was an adventure.
I just want to finish this off. Fuck Sig for saying I have to get better, and fuck you Yigs for having 3 of my favorite characters on your list.
No!
What about me?
You're fine. You're fine. I understood your list.
You're fine. Oh, that's funny. You get a pass.
I'm the best
Actually,
one.
no.
Next week, favorite heroes. He's gonna put number 1 is this May.
No, actually, no. F Yigs for hating Junkrat. That's it. That's my piece.
Fair enough.
Alright, well, with that, I think it's time to go. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you for having us.
Fun.
I will not be invited back.
It's looking like, 5 o'clock on Sundays is looking like the best time to do this, so I think that's probably going to be our regular time.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see you guys.
We need to get more people to interact, like in the streams and all that.
Yes!
Yeah, like that's something.
But
Yeah, we'll see.
I hope...
Yeah, maybe we can do a giveaway and like, you know, people.
Oh, giveaway money!
People like free shit. Maybe that's why they'll come if we do that.
Free shit. I'll be joining the stream.
And free stuff we trust.
Exactly.
Well, with that, I hope to see you guys again. Hopefully we'll get a few new games going on next week, which will be week 3.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And with that,
that would be good.
I'll see you guys later.
Cheers.